Deep.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. This is The Sopranos, Barrens, Season 3, Episode 11. And we're back finally. We're quickly approaching the almost halfway mark here in the Sopranos look back of the entire series after many, many years. But we're finally back here to talk about another Sopranos episode. And I'm, of course, not alone on this Sopranos adventure. I have with me my co-host, Big Matt. How's it going, Matt?
Dude, I haven't seen you in years, I don't think. I haven't talked to you in ages. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's you and I don't really talk besides this. You were supposed to come down for a game night, but you were sick at the last minute and didn't come down.
I literally got COVID the night before.
Yeah, it's coming down to the game night. But this is the first time you and I have talked in a while, but we're on here to talk about, this is going to be an interesting episode of The Sopranos to talk about because it is widely considered by a lot of people, and I'm not just making this up. Sometimes I make stuff up, Matt. I'll just randomly make statements. But it's the highest rated Sopranos episode on IMDb. It's considered in a lot of lists as one of the greatest episodes of television history. I don't know if it's my favorite episode of television history. We're going to get into that tonight. As we go through tonight, our big question, and we have it in the chat as a poll question. We really want to get your opinions as you're popping on in here. But is this your favorite Sopranos episode? And do you think it's one of the best episodes of television of all time? I know we're starting with these questions. You don't have to necessarily answer that now, but I'm just curious where you are just going into this. Is this one of your favorite Sopranos episodes?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Well, it's weird because it's one of my favorite episodes because it focuses around Paulie and Christopher so much. But I don't know if it can be considered one of the best ones because they're so very limited in the other characters that make up so much of the Sopranos universe that are important to something being like the best episode.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the best episode of The Sopranos can have Jackie Jr. in it. I don't know if that's a human possibility, but we're going to get into this tonight. This is probably, there's a lot of funny ones, but this is, I think, inarguably the funniest Sopranos episode. This episode is straight out hilarious. They go from a dark comedy to just hijinks in this episode. This is just a hilarious, fun episode. And if you haven't joined us for one of these episodes, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the episode live. We'll tell you when we start, and we're going to sync it up and do a commentary track of it. But we're going to talk about the episode a little bit at the beginning. The other big part of this episode, and it made it a big deal at the time when it came out, is that Animal Blandetta directing this episode. This episode directed by Steve Buscemi, the first of 5 episodes that he directed on The Sopranos. And I remember this being a big deal at the time because The Sopranos wasn't quite as huge as it eventually became. And Steve Buscemi directing an episode who was coming off, the Lebowski, Reservoir Dogs. I mean, he was in Pulp Fiction as well. And lots, Airheads, all the Adam Sandler.
Fargo. He was in
Fargo.
a whole bunch of
Yeah, we don't have to start mentioning every Coen Brothers movie that Steve Buscemi and Adam Sandler's movie that Steve Buscemi pops up in. But he's a big fucking deal to be directing an episode of The Sopranos in season 3 when it was big. But to my imagination, and I'd have to look back at the ratings, it was huge at this point, but it really reached like the cultural apex between seasons 3 and seasons 4. In my imagination, my memory of it, that was when the show got more widely popular. I was watching, I think you were watching it early, but I think more people started.
I actually didn't watch it early. I watched it. I watched all the end of it live, but there was a time period when HBO was like letting you stream a season at a time. So I watched maybe the first 4 or 5 seasons, maybe even in the period of a few weeks leading up to season 6.
And Matt, we're also not alone. We have with us some amazing, some beautiful. You asked if you could get a link to the chat tonight, and I said
I didn't ask for the chat.
No, what did you ask for, Matt? Tell us exactly.
I asked for a link to the motherfucking chat.
He asked for a link to the motherfucking chat, the live motherfucking chat. And you know what, live motherfucking chat, it's been a while since I was able to bring your I thought I had it. I was just gonna do something. Oh, there it is. I have your fucking logo. The live motherfucking chat is back in the house. And tonight we have, of course, this is our Sopranos live stream, so we'll have a smaller than normal live motherfucking chat, but we still have the live motherfucking chat here tonight. And we have Brian, Dodd, Luna, we got Claude, we got Jonathan, we've got we got our friend Phyllis that might be popping in here. Honestly, the main reason why we do this because Phyllis keeps me honest about saying, come on, bring the Sopranos cast back. Oh, wow, it turned into the Cobra Kai there for a second. But let me get the live motherfucking chat off the screen right now. So does this Phyllis really exist? We'll see, because Phyllis said she might be in the live chat tonight. But of course, yes, Boardwalk Empire he did, which he did afterwards. I don't know if Matt's ever seen Boardwalk Empire, but it is a good show.
I watched a couple episodes. My wife watched the whole thing.
She has great taste. We have
more free time, like one of the two. But,
let's pop it in the live chat and see what some of you people are saying tonight. I want to thank John Haymaker for becoming a channel member tonight again, or renewing his membership. That means so much. Good to see Luna in the live chat too. John McMahon, hey Phil. Oh my God. Yes, this episode, it's gonna be a fun one. We got Killmonger, hey Phil, hey Matt, Jonathan McMahon. We should have stopped at Roy Rogers. I mean, this episode has so many amazing one-liners. John Haymaker says it's my favorite episode. Jonathan McMahon, put the universal remote back on the station. I mean, it's pretty fucking hilarious. Mel, we got Mel in the live chat. Hey, what's going on? Listen to this prick giving orders. Keep it coming, please. If you're popping in our live chat, or if I'm lucky enough to have you, a Sopranos fan, watch this video, make sure you pop as many Sopranos quotes and random out of context stuff and in context stuff into our chat and into our comment section. We very much appreciate that. Please donate if you can. I can't. Brian Dodd, I'm going to get to that in a second. I appreciate everyone that can donate, but I appreciate everyone that can't as well, just as much. But I am going to advertise something in a second here from a company that sent me. See this awesome thing you see in the back right there? We're going to talk about that in a second. And I'm going to talk about the movie palette is what it's called. And it's not from a movie, Matt. I had to be hard. I had to be difficult, and I got it from what is widely considered one of the other greatest episodes in television history, Ozymandias. Now, let's get to this for a second here. Now, it's Polly Walnuts. Get off the phone there. Polly, what are you... Now, everybody... Moviepalette.com contacted me to ask me if I wanted to get a free piece of artwork to hang on the back wall behind the stream and talk to you guys about that and give you guys a special discount. If you go to their website and you like their stuff and you enter the discount code Phil15, you can get 15% off your order. So basically what Movie Palette is, they take different movies and they give you the color palettes. They give you this wider range of the color palettes. They've got a bunch of movies to select from, and they're starting to get into TV as well. And they asked me which one I wanted. They gave me a free one, and of course I have to like it because they gave me a free one. No, I actually like this freaking thing. It looks kind of cool, and especially because they went out of their way for me a little bit, and that was kind of awesome of them. I was difficult. I said, you know what? You contacted me, but I don't really fucking talk about movies. I don't. I basically more talk about TV shows. So they made one up for me, and I thought about doing Pine Barrens, but instead I decided on Ozymandias from Breaking Bad. And let me go grab this freaking thing and show you guys a little closer what it looks like. There we go. So this is a movie palette. It basically takes all the color schemes from the episode, and then they have
from the beginning to the end, right? Like it goes through. It starts and goes like at the beginning of the episode and goes to the end of the episode.
Exactly. Every scene from it, all the different color palettes from those particular episodes. For a show like Breaking Bad, it's really interesting. You can get it for pretty much any movie you could think about. And they have the custom one too, which is what they made for me with the TV thing. And then it has like the name of the episode, Ozymandias, Breaking Bad. So absolutely. And if you want, let me put that back up over here. So if you want 15% off a movie palette, you can enter your and if you're interested in those kind of things and you want one, go to their website, moviepalette.com, enter the coupon code PHIL15, and you'll get 15% off, and you help the channel a little bit without having to donate, and you get something out of the deal. So yeah, there you go. We're done. Let's get back to The Sopranos. Oh, what's that? Oh, I can't click on that screen because then we get too much of Matt. Okay, so let's get into the live chat. Tony Egg, Tony.
Hey Phil, I'm gonna interrupt for a second. Just FYI, that little problem we had before has seemed to rectify itself.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad that it rectified itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you can see the other screen now?
Right now, I see myself on one side, and I see your whole screen with like both of us and everything on the other side.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I fixed it a little bit. We got Tony Uncle Philly and Tony Uncle Matt here. Phil, have you ever braided your hair? Yes. When my old rock band used to play live shows occasionally, because I jumped around like an idiot, I wouldn't want my scraggly hair getting in my face, so I would braid it in two giant pigtail braids, or I would have someone do it. So yes.
And Phil has had long hair for. I mean, you had short hair at different points, but like forever. Pretty much.
Since I was 16, generally. Yeah. So, and you can do the math. That's a long time, Matt.
And now he's 30 years old. So.
Yeah, now I'm 28 years old. So it's been a while. There's nothing like watching The Sopranos on a Sunday night as God and Chase intended. Mel, I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. It got to the point where HBO wasn't as widely spread, and especially I was very poor at the time and couldn't afford it. So during the final seasons of The Sopranos, myself and Joe Dirtylocks used to just show up at Matt's door, whether he wanted it or not, because we knew we had HBO.
I don't even think I had a couch at the time.
You didn't.
An apartment I had, and we were like sitting in chairs in my living room.
Chairs, and I think I was sitting on an egg crate. I think you had two chairs and an egg crate at that point in time.
That sounds about right.
And that was, does Phyllis really exist? I don't know. Mel, welcome to the channel. There's some channel only videos, but really I do appreciate the support. I try to give you guys a little extra every month and all that sort of stuff, but I appreciate that dime bag of support. Please roll that up. This toast.
I will be back in 1 second.
Absolutely. Take your time, Matt. So Matt is stepping away because he is dealing with some doggy issues, but let's keep going here. Phil, I never get past me changing my handle from Melly to Mel MC. I know I keep calling you your original screen name, but I don't know if it's a credit to my memory or credit to me being like an old man where I can't, I'm going to call you Melly Mel. That's what I want to call you. Mel MC. Cause I keep wanting to say Melly first. Jonathan, most down-to-earth streamer I've ever seen, man. Oh, dude, I appreciate that. The Walking David, was that before or after my horrible ad read? We'll see about that. It's about damn time you were here back for this Soprano episode. We got The Walking David, who will join us for one of these at some point in time to jump on in here with Matt and I. He was going to be here for this one, but then it was like 8 months since we've done the last one. So, but we will get David on, as we're going to try to do these at least once a month as long as Matt is down. It's 100% the best episode, says Pernicon. I honestly, I can't argue about that. That's right. My answer to that. Like, if you're getting into what the best Sopranos episodes are, I can't argue with the people that are going to say that this is the best episode, because it is such a tight little narrative. It's such a little movie into itself. If you've never watched The Sopranos, it reminds me of, there's a couple of episodes of Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is one of my favorite series. The episode In the Pale Moonlight. You can watch this episode if you've never watched a single goddamn episode of Star Trek, and it's still just as good. That's what makes it one of the greatest television episodes of all time. Pine Barrens might, to a deep Sopranos fan that likes long-term parking or White Caps or something like a big episode like that with some big drama and all the characters as a part of it, or some early seasons episodes or something like that, you can understand. But if someone's saying that this episode is the greatest, I can't argue, because I think it's also the most universal episode of The Sopranos. Maybe this in college, like the episodes that you can watch without ever watching this series. And I think that's one of the things that's special about this episode. And I don't know if it's because of the humor, Matt, or just because of the narrowness of the focus of the of the narrative of this particular episode, but it's just two guys getting lost in the woods. And
and I would say, you know, the thing when you watch the episode again, you realize there are some other huge things that happen outside of Paulie and Christopher. There is
100%.
The whole, like, two enormous events are Tony coming to. Can I talk about it yet? Or should we wait? Tony coming to grips with, like.
1 second, Matt. Just for the record, if you're watching an episode about The Sopranos season 3, episode 11, I know I'm from the 80s. Like, spoiler alerts. Like, we're gonna be talking about this and spoiling the hell out of this. Also, if you've never watched The Sopranos before and you're just on this episode, we will be spoiling future and past events, obviously, and maybe even mentioning the many saints of Newark occasionally as well.
Oh,
Let's pretend it never happened, but it might come up from time to time. So if you're watching these Soprano breakdowns at this, we expect that you have watched it multiple crazy amounts of time, or at least don't care about shit being spoiled. Go for it, Matt.
I think if someone had written a short story and all it was Paulie and Christopher in the woods, like 100% anyone could relate to that. And but there are other huge Soprano events that happen in this. That's the only reason why it might not survive on its own. You really would need the backstory of, like, Jackie Jr. and Meadow and Gloria and Tony and all that stuff. But that's not what anyone thinks about when they think about this episode. They think about, how does he say at the end? He's like, we're just two assholes in the woods or something like that.
Yeah, we're just two assholes lost in the woods. I agree. I agree with you 100%. When people think about this episode, that's all they think about. There's also obviously that big reveal, two big reveals, two big aha moments in the Sopranos' lives. You get the big moment of Meadow first really sort of having her aha moment in the game of Scrabble with how much of a dumbass Jackie Jr. is.
And that's like a huge, like, Soprano Files can tell you, like, that's a huge moment. Like, everyone knows the poo and the ass. Like, everyone knows that moment.
And then seeing how much of a dumbass Jackie Jr. is just walking down the street with his hooker after he's like he's like, hey, oh, you know who my father was? Thanks for the money. You know who my father was? How's it going? He's like buddying with her as they're walking out, and whatever. And Meadows finds out that he's cheating on her and basically ditches him and doesn't care about him until he dies. But whatever. I'm sorry, I'm being hard on Meadow. But you mentioned it in passing, have the biggest secret mystery of all time in The Sopranos in this episode. Was Silvio really sick with the flu? I think he was faking it. I think they just wanted.
Oh, I didn't mention that at all. That's not what I was talking about.
No, I'm kidding. But it's Tony actually seeing. It motivates a lot of the drama for the remaining 2 episodes of this season with Gloria and future events with Gloria eventually, spoiler alert, killing herself. This is the first time Tony sees Gloria being crazy. We can talk about Gloria up until this point, or Tony and her having that Livia kind of dynamic. And this was the first time we see it. And it's a big part of this episode. And also, Carmela's father has glaucoma, Matt. Do you care about that? I mean, her father has glaucoma, Matt.
Well, I think I should at least have some coffee.
Yes, I think you should. Absolutely. Sorry about the video feedback here, first guys. I was trying to help the broadcast out so Matt can actually see me while we go, and I have to, like, readjust some.
But I'll live.
I know you'll live.
I know what you look like.
I know, but I fixed it now, so you can do it. But I just have to adjust each one of your cameras when I put it on there. But let's keep going through the live chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Look on my work, ye mighty in despair. I knew this was coming. Another amazing episode of television. Paulie knew how to flash that pinky ring for emphasis. Quit breaking my balls, Sopranos. I believe it. Have you been eating steak? I love that you guys keep going to have you
been eating steak is one of the funniest lines in the show.
Oh yeah, when he smelled. We got Bobby showing up in his big outfit. Yeah. But really, I mean, Michael Imperioli is a great actor. He's done a lot of awesome parts and a lot of things, and he's really incredible in this episode. The chemistry between the two of them is incredible. But Matt, I'd be remiss not to before we start this episode and in this whole preamble, not talk about that this might be, again, we're talking about the best. Very rarely in this conversation have we been able to unequivocally say these kind of things, but I would go out on a limb to say this might be the best Paulie Walnuts episode. And it's because it's the only one we really see him. I think it starts the focus on Paulie is the best when he's not able to keep things the way Paulie need, like when he's fucked with, like when he tries to steal from the old woman and she catches him, when he finds out that his mother isn't really his mother's his aunt, and he's freaking out and he's losing his mind, when he's on the boat thinking Tony's gonna kill, like when put Paulie in an uncomfortable position, he's an even better character, like from a position of power.
Oh, when all he wants is macaroni and gravy, like, and they don't have that for him.
Yep.
And he's out of sorts over in Italy.
Exactly. And he just can't go I can't go in the bathroom here. What the fuck? Like and I think this is the pinnacle episode of that. This is
and if you know anything about him as an actor, they always talk about how he would go into when he'd be on a scene, he'd give like everyone bananka and like spray them with cologne and stuff and do all this weird Paulie Walnut stuff, but that's who he really is. And another part is keeping that hair perfect as it can be on the side.
The wings.
And over the course of the whole scene in the woods, by the time they're done, he just looks like a clown. It's like way out. So for him, that's so out of Paulie's character to always be so completely like buttoned down in the way that he like grooms himself.
Yeah, like when he looks like this and stuff, and he looks like that.
He never would allow himself to look like that.
Going from looking like this to look like that. It's look like that. And Matt, you treaded on that. That's absolutely true. I think that is one of the underutilized aspects of this episode that makes it so great. Seeing these wise guys that we've, for the most part, seen in their own surroundings. That in this episode, it's almost like one of those first episodes when we see Pussy and it's Paulie too, in like the Starbucks, like seeing them outside of the circles that they should be in is an even another aspect of it that makes this episode so funny. So when Tim Van Patten and Terence Winter were writing this episode, I think a lot of things just really came together on this episode in particular. Like it was the perfect storm of making Paulie uncomfortable, putting two characters, fish out of water situation, and two
of the funniest characters in the show.
Bar none. I agree.
That doesn't work. I don't think that works with anyone. With Paulie, that doesn't work with anyone else.
No, the other two characters it would work with in a weird sort of way is put Artie with anybody. Put Artie and Tony Lost in the Woods. Would have been an interesting dynamic.
Those two, but Artie with one of those other people doesn't work because there's not the dynamic. They're not on equal footing. Like Artie and Tony are on equal footing just as friends. They're not like in their universe on equal footing though. Like one of them is made and one of them isn't.
Yep.
But like as friends they work together. But like Artie and Christopher, I don't think works.
So it was the perfect combination because also you can easily forget if you're watching this episode on its own. Paulie and Christopher have a little history with recently on the show with having problems with each other. So this is also kind of all of that gets brought together to a certain extent within this episode. And it's sort of a pinnacle moment. The other thing that we haven't talked about, or I want to mention one more thing about what you said earlier, that there's these other moments in this episode that people forget about, but they're all good. They all work and they're all funny. That you mentioned the steak, or someone in the live chat mentioned the steak thing, but the whole him getting hit by a steak. I have it in trivia for the end of the show, but Steve Buscemi got to throw that steak at James Gandolfini. That was Buscemi's tossing that steak at him. I really got to get the steak thrown at him, and it added to some of the funniest lines. This is the first episode Bobby kind of becomes more of a character. And I'm not saying he wasn't a character up until this point, and that's necessarily always a great thing. I love you, Steve Sharippa. But it's
he tells the worst joke in the history of The Sopranos.
But it works in a weird, fucked up way, Matt. It really does. But we do, Mel, we really see Tony Sirico's acting chops in this episode. He shows off. He shows off what he can do, and they push him as an actor, and they push. Michael Imperioli is a great actor. I'm not saying Tony Sirico isn't, but he's a very specialty actor. He's an actor like I'm not. He's better than I am, but I can play me. If you write a part or if a character in a play or something is me, I can go in there and play me. I'm really good at play. Like I might be the second best or third best in the world at playing me, but I'm pretty good at it. The constitution, you know what I mean? Like I have a strong constitution, but I'm pretty decent at playing myself. Tony Sirico is as well, but this episode they push him to this next level. Like you can tell Buscemi was pushing him as an actor. And I think he really got a performance out of him, something special that as much as I want to put it on both of them, I think this episode is not as great without Pauly. Pauly sells this 100%, Matt.
Right. And Christopher's amazing in it, but you would expect him to, like, cause he is.
Yeah. You put him in. Quasimodo predicted all of this. John Heyman, the sixth. We got the sixth grader in here. Hopefully, the grade 600er. Okay, that's better. That's better. You're more age appropriate for this now, being in grade 600.
Well, yeah, but the question is, what is The Sopranos? I don't know if that is.
The Sopranos is a show about a bunch of opera singers, and it talks about their interactions, trying to negotiate all the drama that happens in operas between the 19th and 18th and 19th century. So it's an interesting show about Sopranos, but we're gonna there's a specific episode where two of the singers got lost in the woods of, I think it was like the Pine Barrens of Ireland or something, and it's one of the standalone episodes. So we're gonna watch this live. So if you've never seen The Sopranos, I highly recommend get HBO and queue it up, and we're gonna all sing some serious songs.
I want to bring up one last thing.
Please.
One thing we see happen a lot with we see Seinfeld is a famous case of this, where cell phones would have fixed so many of the issues.
Yes. Oh yeah, I know. Yep.
But having said that, as someone who lives in Vermont, there are 100% areas where there is no cell phone reception.
Yeah, how is it?
I see that all the time. So I think in actual Pine Barrens, in the middle of the woods, there is still a chance that today there is not great reception.
Yeah, I agree with that, Matt. And I don't know how they do it, because, and this isn't about The Sopranos being one of the best episodes. This isn't necessarily about The Sopranos being one of the greatest series of all time, but The Sopranos is one of the greatest series of all time. And I don't know what it is about it, because the technology, obviously they're using cell phones. Half the series, or the beginning part of the series, I think they're still using pagers, and then they slowly do use cell phones, but they're all flip phones. Right. But I'm never watching The Sopranos, and maybe someone else, maybe a younger person who's in the chat or watched The Sopranos more recently for the first time. I don't feel like when I'm watching a series from this episode aired in 2001. So The Sopranos was late 90s, early 2000s. I don't feel like I'm watching a 90s, early 2000s show like when I turn on 24 or I turn on some other series that were around at that age. I think The Sopranos is able to keep its vibrancy more than some other series do. And I don't necessarily understand exactly why. Maybe because the world of the mafia is so insulated that you could believe that they wouldn't have, that you're not going to focus too much on technology.
Well, not only that, but they was specifically, like, they all have burner phones that they destroy all the time. You know, like Better Call Saul does or something, where, like, for discretion purposes, they wouldn't be on the internet all the time or broadcasting stuff or sending texts necessarily.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like other series that came out in 99, 2000, 2001, you think about those series and they seem more dated. You watch even Oz, even other HBO series that came out around that time, 6 Feet Under, Oz, like less the period pieces. You can't say the same thing about like Mad Men or something, because
or Rome or something like
or Rome, because they're period pieces that they feel like they can come out at any time. But I'm talking about series that took place, or even, I mean, the Wire, even, it seems more of a place of its time, specifically because it focuses on the technology during The Wire, you know, focuses on the cell phones and stuff. But even The Wire, I think, has a universal appeal where it seems like it could happen anytime. I think that's something it shares with its sister show, The Sopranos. But Oz doesn't. Oz feels like it's of the age. So Lost feels like it's of the age. Heroes, I believe, are all shows that were around that period of time, all feel dated when you rewatch them. And especially shows when we were kids, like something like Quantum Leap. If you try to watch that now, I still love it, but it feels very dated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the difference is back then they weren't making this caliber of television.
No,
people will say like Hill Street Blues or something that I never watched because I was too young, but like
or Saint Elsewhere or something like that.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, for quality, you needed to go to Star Trek at that period of time, like Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. I think were some of the best stuff going on. The only shows that were doing ongoing storylines were like 90210 and Melrose Place. Like you wouldn't see everything was episode of the week.
If Phil has never mentioned this before, he is an enormous.
I was because I realized what I was more of a fan of at that time was continuing storylines, and until Oz and The Sopranos came on the scene, that was all you would get for that kind of storylines. For instead of just watching things week to week and having it be reliving the plot. Some sitcoms occasionally. Whatever happened to Gary Cooper? Sons of Anarchy always used burner phones. I think one of the things that helped Sons with future tech was Juice. At the beginning, they had him be the computer hacker guy, and they used to fuck around with Photoshop sometimes as well. So I'm not sure what else to say about this show before we watch it. We're going to also talk a little bit about it afterwards, talk a little bit trivia, any final thoughts. If you haven't watched one of these with us before, we imagine that you've watched it before, so we're going to be talking all the fuck over it. And
yeah, this is the sort of thing that if no one was in the chat and no one listened, Phil and I would be doing it anyway.
Right.
Like talking about it.
Exactly. If we weren't lucky enough to have a handful of you guys right now, almost 20 of you. Oh my goodness. We have almost 20 people sitting hanging out with us right now. Thank you to all of you guys. Please hit that like button. Share this out. Make sure you voted in our poll that we got tonight, which is asking the question. And I think all of you did vote because we have 25 votes right now. Is this the best episode of TV ever? And we'll mention that at the end, but our possible answers are yes, no, but it's the best Sopranos episode. So we'll get to the answer of that.
You got to give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Please. I'll get to some chat here while we wait. As I mentioned this before, Matt is dealing with a puppy dog issue right now that is giving him the gift that keeps on giving all over the place. Phil, I can't talk about that, Jonathan. I cannot talk about my associations or my childhood associations. I will, Matt and I might make reference to something about that later. And Revere Beach when I was young was a pretty sketchy place. And I had, I fractured an occasional law when I was a child. But I also want to add that if you want to call on in tonight, you can do that at 781-990-8509. And again, you can call that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if you're watching live, call on in, leave us a message, ask us a question, give us some Sopranos quotes, whatever you want to do. But that number's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you call when we're not live, just mention this is for the Sopranos, and I will play it on the next Sopranos stream, as I know some of you may be watching this at other times. But please leave us a voicemail, calling in. And if for some reason I missed your chat as it rolls by and you got something you definitely want to ask, make sure you text it. You can also text it on in so I absolutely see it. Yeah, dude, we're from fucking Mass, dude. Bada bing, bada bomb, dude.
Phil, I would also I think it's remiss if we don't bring this up, that this is the first time that you and I don't even know the last time we did one of these shows. I've had 3 surgeries since then.
Yep.
COVID has kind of gone back to normal, but Tony Soprano died.
Yes, he did. More important.
We have not, and that was earlier this year, and we have certainly not acknowledged that fact here in this chat at all.
I don't know if you see your little your graphic, your Matt graphic. I have you honoring Paulie Walnuts with a with.
He's on both sides.
He's on both sides, yeah. I was gonna put 2 different characters, but then I realized that but no, we gotta do all the honor to him. So yeah, rest in peace. You could see that he was fading the last couple of years. I don't know if he had a version of dementia or Alzheimer's or something, but his brain was going a little bit the last couple of years. But rest in peace to Tony Soprano. How do you say it again? Sirico?
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 Someone wants to correct us on that.
Serpico?
Dude,
Serpico?
Do you remember when Neil Peart died? I called him Neil Peart my whole life, the drummer from Rush. And he died, and it's like everyone was calling him Neil Peart, and I'm like, oh, I've been mispronouncing his name for 30 years. But not just me; everyone I know had been mispronouncing.
His mama named him Pert. I'm gonna call him Pert. But yeah, if you guys can correct us if you want to call it in. But rest in peace to Paulie Walnuts, and he also played some other parts too. But rest in peace.
No, but I mean, he's someone. And it's a big enough role that literally this is like you can walk down the street anywhere and people know who the hell you are when you're him. And again, he is that person. It's not like when you meet if you meet Michael Imperioli and he's a completely different guy. He's like, he's into like the hardcore scene in New York City and like meditation and stuff.
Yeah, and playing music and shit like
he's
that.
Into like,
but
this is his life.
And you meet friggin' what's his name? You meet Bobby Bacala. He's like a wise ass motherfucker and like aggressive. He's like a shit talker and stuff like that.
Right.
Like so many of the but honestly, Stevie Van Zandt doesn't seem much different than Silvio. Like when you hear him talking and stuff like that, it would be almost like you're talking to like a.
Well, his voice sounds the same. You're right. It would be really weird because he'd be talking about completely different stuff.
But
like
they
love music. Feel like he'd be great to talk about music with,
And I have to also what happened, and Netflix made a really stupid move that I don't quite understand. The very first series that the Netflix original series, Lilyhammers, they took it off their service for some reason, and they own it. And Stevie Van Zandt is pissed off about it. He's like, why'd they take it off if they own it? Like that's just kind of a dick move. And so you can't really see that. But if you've never seen Lilyhammer, it's not tremendously amazing, but it is kind of like the never-ending adventures of Silvio. Like imagine if Silvio survived it and went into the witness protection program of some sort. It's got that kind of vibe to it. So we're gonna get ready. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get a little few technical difficulties here for a second, and cue it up. If you guys want to watch the episode along with us, now is the time to open up whatever app or situation you have to rock this episode. We're gonna do a 3, 2, 1 and push play in a few.
It just got real dark in here because I have HBO about to be out.
So we have this all set. My new living room is set up so I can actually watch it on my television from my desk. But if you want to watch this along, we will be giving context to scenes. So if you're not watching along, this won't just be like listening to us watch. We'll try to verbalize what's happening in scenes because we know everyone isn't going to be watching live. So it's
another thing that's like so great and just perfect the way it worked out is like originally there was no snow on the ground when they were going to do this. They weren't planning on the snow being there when they filmed this. Like you can't make snow to cover the entire woods. It just happened to snow like a couple days before this episode was shot. I believe is what was happening. It was cold, but it wasn't going to be like having the snow was just like such a bonus because it's so iconic that they have the snow in it.
It is. It's such a lucky moment when you get into situations like that.
Right, that's not like you can't fake that snow. Well, not back then. They wouldn't have anyways. Like green screen snowing or something. But like. They had to have written it and say, okay, well, there's actually snow right now, and they just go with it, and it makes it so much better.
We're going to give everyone, it's 7:31, we're going to give to 7:33 or so, or around then we will start the episode to give everyone a chance to catch up. Let's get into the live chat. Oh, yep, Killmonger.
Now, we're going to start at the very beginning before the HBO opening credits, right? Because I'm going to be watching it here, too.
Right. Click on, when you get to that main HBO screen, I'm clicking on the restart button. I'm restarting the episode. It starts right from the HBO logo. I don't think there's any HBO commercials or anything like that going on here. And you should be able to hear it. And I'm not saying you should be able to kind of see where I am in the episode, but you might theoretically. I need to decorate this room a little bit more and maybe put a mirror behind that chair right there for unknown for non-specific reasons, for completely different reasons. But I think I might do that at some point in time and test it out. But or pop on in your DVDs or Blu-rays if you have them.
One more thing about this episode, like
many more things about this episode, Matt. Keep going.
Tony Soprano just brings it the whole time though. Like Gandolfini never takes an episode off, a scene off, anything. Him yelling into the phone about the Czechoslovakian, not really the Chechens, but like he's incredible throughout the entire thing. He's fighting with Gloria. He's screaming over the phone at them.
you just feel the ultimate frustration and tiredness that Tony feels dealing with his life. This is one of those first episodes, not first, but this is one of the big episodes that you, not only do you feel the frustration and everything going on with Christopher and Polly in the woods, you feel the pressure of being boss getting to Tony in this episode and how much he has to actually deal with. And you see him really losing faith in Polly. You mentioned the cell phones and the signal thing. One of the, especially up until this point, because cell phones were obviously very new, and I would say even still at this point, one of the best uses of cell phones in an episode. And to your point, 100%. I know there's more towers now, but you still deal with this shit now when you're
Dude, I do it in Vermont all the time. I drive an hour south and there's no service.
No service. You go cross country. When I drove cross country like a couple of years ago, you come through sections that your phone's just dead for miles and miles and miles. And when you're in
Phil and I are from one of the most densely populated parts of the universe, which is like Greater Boston, and like there's no area, like there's literally cell phone service everywhere, but it's like eye-opening when you leave that area and see that there are still dead spots out there.
Thank you, John Haymaker. I pumped him up it was me on my end. I needed to pump him up. Does everyone have their universal remotes ready? Thank you, grade 600.
Oh, Phil, the other great thing is this whole episode, you don't see this. I'm trying to think how often this happens, and maybe it happens more often than I'm thinking because I never think about the concept, but the fact that the episode is a 24-hour period and that's it. It is it's a one day, like that's it. And there's a whole other element of just intensity, almost like 24, because it's, although that's 1 hour, not a day, but like there is that thing is right. It's 1 day's worth of stuff.
Matt, that is an excellent point and something that makes this episode again very unique. Other episodes of The Sopranos, time is a non-factor. It's a non-concept. This is definitely one night, and it is incredible. The actor that plays Valerie is amazing in this episode. Obviously, I don't know. Should we talk about the Russians' fate before or after the episode? The Russians' fate is the big part of this episode that is the big elephant in the room of, is this episode so popular because it leaves this mystery? It's probably, if you asked most Sopranos fans at the time watching the finale and the final, what are the answers you want the most? What happened to the Russian? This was a big,
because there's so many options. Like he could have his fucking car and the money back for all we know.
Yep. And you know, Chase thought about filming a scene. They had a scene written for it. All the actors have admitted it so far. I'm paraphrasing. I have it written down here somewhere, but essentially he didn't take the car. What happened was Boy Scouts found him and got him back to his boss, which sent him back to Russia, and he had brain damage, so they never really found out what happened. And then later on in the series, Christopher and Polly are in a bar talking about him, and they come out of the bar, and they see him standing there. He's been following them around, but they don't know why he's following them around, and that's it. That was supposed to be the cameo, and Tony Soprano speculates.
Matt needs to turn up his volume.
No, you're fine, Matt. I turned you up.
Okay. Oh, okay. You got me.
The Polly, Tony Soprano said that David Chase didn't disclose it because he wants to make the audience suffer. He enjoys making the audience suffer. So would you have liked to have seen the Russian come back in a way like that? If that's how they would have done it, Matt, if that's true, if that way that generally, I'm paraphrasing, would you have wanted to see that in the final season, him to return? Or do you think it's better that they never answered that? And I guess this is a foreshadowing.
The thing is, in hindsight, it doesn't matter because it ends how it ends. But it would have caused a whole lot more problems, like with people. I mean, I don't know. Does Valerie? No, not Valerie. What's the main Russian guy's name?
Slava or
something? Slava. Does Slava know that they went to his house that day or not? Like that?
Yes.
That's what I don't know.
Yes, he mentions it. We'll see this again.
Well, no, he said did he get his money? They didn't know it was that day though.
Right. He doesn't know necessarily. He's no way to necessarily connect them. I'm going to go with
the right and what's his name? You just said not Slava. The Valerie's messed up enough that he literally could just like go MIA.
Exactly. And just get fucked in the woods and get shot by a hunter or some shit like that. Anyways, I like not knowing. A couple of people in the live chat agree. Unlike the ending of the series, which a little foreshadowing, we will obviously get to. We're slowly but surely tugging away. Season 4, episode 4 is the halfway point, and we got 2 more episodes. Our next cast that we're gonna do 2 episodes, and whenever that is, and then we'll be ready starting season 4, the following one, and then we're close to halfway. And anyways, so I think, unlike the ending, I like not knowing. I think this episode, part of what made this episode popular was not knowing. And I think anything that they would have solved this particular mystery, it wouldn't have been satisfying because people's imaginations work better. I don't care if every actor and Steve Buscemi say that the camera angle from the tree wasn't important. I still think that
it's important. I saw it today and I'm like, that's important.
That's important. It's like the members only.
Why do it? Why go from that angle where you literally look like you're looking down from the tree? Why do it if it's not important?
Yep. And the Greater 600 says the fun fact: when Tony sees Bobby in the hunting outfit for the first time, off camera, Bobby Buckle, I'm blanking on his name right now, had a Steve Sharippa had a dildo strapped to his crotch to get James Gandolfini to laugh naturally, and that was the first time he saw him. And I heard Steve talk about that on the Talking Sopranos episode. He says that they had the prop person from the Sopranos make a giant, or they had like a giant dildo in the props closet, and then Michael Imperioli was like, of course, and Steve Buscemi was on it. They're like, of course he did, and it's really. For that show, it's a good episode, but it's more the interview with Steve Buscemi. They don't talk a lot about the episode. They more talk about Steve Buscemi's career, which is cool, kind of seeing Steve Buscemi in that situation. Anyways, I guess we're ready. Everyone, cue it up. Get ready. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then push play. But we know that everyone's going to be at different speeds because of internet speeds and starting times. But we can try to sync up if we can hear, but but here we go. You ready?
Wait, time out. Stop. I'm being serious. 1, 2, 3, then play.
1, 2, 3, then play. No, not 1, 2, 3. Play on 3. 1, 2, 3. Play.
All right, I got this.
That's one of my favorite Lethal Weapon jokes, by the way. Like, I don't know if you
never gets old, and you think it's a joke, and then it's like, oh no, this is literally what we have to do every single time.
Every single time, because we don't remember this shit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, play. You're a little ahead of me, I think.
Why? Can you hear mine?
I thought I did, but I don't think. Can you hear mine?
Oh. No, I turned mine down though.
Okay. So here we go. The Sopranos episode. The theme song is playing. Can you hear mine at all?
A little bit, maybe.
Okay. No, I want the audience to be able to hear a little bit. I might turn it up. Okay, here we go. The episode's starting. Hopefully you guys can somewhat see where we're at in the episode on occasion. And let's see. Let me push this off right here. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. On an unrelated note, Matt, I think that wall right there really needs a mirror. And I don't know. I'm just feeling like I need to put a mirror up right there on that wall.
Someone just said in the chat that they can't hear.
Okay, good. Okay. I mean, that's good because we will deal with like copyright issues, but the theme is still going right now. I can, hopefully everyone is relatively synced up. I guess if you can't exactly hear where we're at, then it's not going to interrupt your play. And
I should keep my mouth shut because I think I'm off a little bit from you. It just went by Pizza Land in mine. So
I'm a fraction behind you. I'm like a second behind you.
Like I can't even slow it down enough.
No. It would screw it up. It would screw it up. We're good. We're good. Okay, he's pulling up to the house right now. Story by Tim Van Patten. Directed by Steve Buscemi. Okay, so I'm right behind you. Phil, you owe me a sax solo. I do owe you a trumpet solo. It's true. Look, Gloria, great. It's funny. Well, every time I hear this song, I know they didn't do it, but I remember a live Doors version of this song more than the original version.
The live Doors, that's probably the best live Doors song ever.
Yes.
Is them doing Gloria.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not a Doors fan at all.
Me neither. Me neither. I appreciate them, and I appreciate Jim Morrison as a frontman and stuff, but I don't love them like I love some other great big rock bands. But
Yeah.
their version of this song, I think, is the ultimate version of the song.
Yep.
Gloria is hot. This is interesting because this is one of the few moments we have essentially two of Tony's Gumars meeting each other. Tony always has very hot Gumars.
And there are not two people that could be more different from each other than those two.
Than Gloria in the Russian.
Yeah, I mean, just all the stuff Tony talks about Gloria, how she's independent. She just went to Morocco by herself. Like, she doesn't need Tony, and she's the only woman that doesn't need Tony.
I've had a huge I definitely have a crush on this particular actress. She's really gorgeous.
See, I don't think she is, but I think that's me. It's one of those cases where it's me, not you.
No, fair. And I have a question. I always want to ask this to the female members of our audience that watch The Sopranos. Is Tony Soprano hot? Could Tony Soprano pull the girls that he really does pull? I'm just curious of people's perspectives on that, because I think James Gandolfini is a good looking dude.
And that's like well, it's not even him though. It's more his character. You know, like James Gandolfini that's the thing. Like Seinfeld, they're always like, "Oh, could any of these guys get these girls in real life?" The answer is no. But like Tony is a mafia boss. I don't.
Especially
Tony, who's
George.
Actually in sanitation, doesn't. But I think Tony.
Does Kevin Finnery have a hot?
Oh God, no, not at all.
Tony, he's so charming.
Although I did hear that Kevin Finnery had the makings of a varsity athlete.
He did. I think he does. Damn, the Russian girl is hot. Killmonger says, seeing them back to back, they're hotter. And how about the music of The Sopranos? The music of The Sopranos, do you mean like the la 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 la, those Sopranos? Or I think the music direction in The Sopranos, the music chose, was incredibly influential. This is awesome. She's the only one on the show besides Edie that can argue face to face with him and really, and kill it. You know, like from his partners. You know, anytime they tried anything.
And I think he knows she's smarter than him.
Smart. She's smarter than Carmela. She's the smartest girl he's ever.
And he's well aware of that. I love this, by the way, Paulie.
Folly. It's such okay. Now take this.
This is okay. So this is a perfect juxtaposition of him at the end when he's all disheveled. Yep. He's literally getting a manicure.
Yep.
Literally getting a manicure.
I was gonna say that. Paracon says my sister thought Tony was hot, or Gandolfini. Gandolfini's. I guess he got voted hottest in his high school class. Like he was. Okay, does Sil look really sick to you? Oh, I guess he's blowing his nose right there. But his aunt, but yeah.
I just think Tony, of all the people in the world that could go get this money, Furio is Furio still around? I don't even remember the last.
No,
time
Furio's still here. Like they underuse Furio.
Like Furio could go. What's his name from?
I forgot about this scene.
Doogie Howser could go.
Yeah. Vinny Barbarino. No.
I know you said Vinny Barbarino, but it is Vinny.
Vinny Del Pino. I forgot about the fact that we have a group therapy scene.
Yeah, and it's Tony in his typical bullshit way saying they're doing really well together while he's having probably the only affair where he would potentially leave his wife for the woman. I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's because he feels like he always has to have a professional, especially because she takes care of herself. She's not Butta Ping Crosby as she's or whatever. Paulie's getting his nails done. Yeah, Paulie's getting all coiffed up and stuff, looking good, looking right.
And by the way, there's no way that Jackie, who we know has been to the gym, doesn't know at least the word obliques as like a muscle. So I call bullshit that he doesn't know that's a word.
Yeah, he was you get a feeling like he was a jock dude. He was a linebacker in high school and stuff.
Yeah, like he knows his obliques are a muscle. I don't buy that.
You don't buy that bullshit?
My wife's, by the way, my wife still makes fun of me every once in a while. When I played in Scrabble a few weeks ago and got my ass kicked because there may have been edibles involved. And she'll still pull out like the poo or the ass line to like just bust my balls sometimes. Because like that's still, everyone knows the scene.
Luna, to drag a question to you, Matt. Tony would never leave Carmela. Do you think there would be any situation? Do you want to walk back your statement at all, or do you think?
No, I would. But okay, the only way he leaves Carmela with Gloria is if he has to like he leaves his life with her. They get up and leave would be the only way he would leave with her, and not when she's crazy. But I'm saying like if she was more well adjusted. No, I don't think he leaves Carmela and sticks around and like lives in his life. But like, I think he could leave with her and go travel the world if he wanted to. If he had to go on the lam. If he was about to be pinched and his only way out was like, I gotta leave, I think he would go with Gloria and like leave his life behind. I don't think he'd leave. He'd like leave Carmela to like be with Gloria and still like live in New Jersey.
Speaking of leaving it, like, how dumb of a? We talked about this a couple of times ago. I know it's been like a year, but we've talked about it a couple of times ago. Like, how dumb is Jackie Jr.? I don't want to dwell too much on Jackie Jr. because we're going to talk about him in the future, but we'll talk more about that in the next episodes when he dies. But here we go. Let's get into this. Right from the beginning.
That's a hilarious line too, where he's like, "That was real." The Cuban Missile Crisis. He's like, "That was real. I saw the movie. I thought it was bullshit."
It sets the standard for the scene we're about to see. As this dude gets let in, this guy looks like Joe Dirty Locks at the end of a bender. He's not having it, and he's acting like he can fuck you up. So it's dangerous. Like that's Joe at the end of a night when he's like, "Oh, his mom dies. Like I can kick everyone's ass here. Fuck you."
Phil and I also grew up in a town with a lot of Russians. Like, they're no joke, dude. You don't fuck with Russians.
No.
They've come from and have seen shit that like
that you couldn't even imagine. You couldn't even imagine. Seriously, they've gone through fucking hell to get there. And especially this guy has. One of our best friends' fathers like punched a cop in Russia and had to like run, shit like that. They had to escape because he like it. So they weren't fucking around. In the entertainment center. It's hard not to watch this episode and just quote every fucking line. Whose fault is this whole situation? Paulie's, right? Paul, like, as much as
100%. It better not be any rubles in there. Like, he's in there busting balls for like, a guy in the Russian mafia. Like, he's an idiot.
I didn't. Killmonger says Tony loves Carmela and she knows too much to just leave her. Oh, like. Aw, Paulie. So at what point does this go too far? Okay, right now we're into Keystone Cops. It's like you could almost add sound effects.
Paulie, where are you, Paulie?
Paulie, where are you? I can't see you, Paulie. And this dude's about to kill Christopher, and Paulie actually chokes him out, or he tried to just choke him out, but he popped his windpipe. So, yeah,
That's what he thinks.
John Haymaker says Paulie for short. It's 100% Paulie's fault. Paulie, I'm not saying this guy was easy to deal with, but Paulie instigated the situation and he wanted to get into a fight.
No, the guy offered him a drink when they came in.
But this guy was kind of a dick. He makes
fun of him the whole time. He's like, you probably wiped your ass with your own hand in your own country. Now you got universal remotes. Like, that's a proud guy. He's not going to put up with Paulie's
I love Paulie's line there. What did I have a choice? Would I have a choice?
Like, because what are we, a fucking doctor now?
I mean, we don't really get many kills like this on The Sopranos. I guess the other two that are similar would be the Ralphie kill. Like, did Tony go there to kill Ralphie? We'll talk about that later.
No, I don't think he went there to kill him at all. I don't think they went here today to kill him at all.
No.
And I think that Paulie was pissed about having to go there.
Yes, but Paulie wanted to get into a fight. He went there wanting to start shit.
And not caring if he pissed off Tony, I don't think.
No. He's pissed off he had to go to this situation.
And here she is apologizing to him.
Aw, look at, she's so cute.
About the other day.
Sorry.
I had no right to even answer your phone.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know what to talk about their relationship because I don't want to put it all on Gloria. They are definitely just a bad combination. And
dude, he runs out on her while they're in the middle of sex, and that's the other thing. Like, remember, this is all within a 24-hour period. She starts off having that scene in the beginning where she runs out on him. They have makeup sex. She gives him this gift. He runs out on her in the middle of sex. then apologizes and said, I'll come over tonight, and shows up 3.5 hours late. Like, of course she's going to be pissed.
Yep. And then he leaves again. And
Yeah.
And did she slash her own tires?
Probably.
I always assume she slashes her own tires.
No, Killmonger, he'll wear that robe like around her while they're fucking. I think he's wearing it at her house.
Yeah, it's his at her house robe.
Mix it with the relish. What, the robe? That's.
But in fairness, like, I guess when you're dating a mafia guy, you kind of have to deal with this kind of thing, or.
No. See, I think a Guma does. I don't think she does. I don't consider her that. She's not some girl on the side getting an apartment paid for.
She's
Tony.
his girlfriend.
She's not the Russian.
She's his girlfriend, essentially.
The Russian puts up with this shit. No, Tony, don't leave. And then, like, you know.
Right away, I love Christopher's look on his constipated owl look when he starts seeing how Polly's going to frame this situation. Paul's like, he sucker punched me. And Christopher just gets the constipated owl look on his face. And then we start right away, and Tony keeps flushing the toilet. Like,
where is he with the luggage? I love that.
It's so fucking funny. Mix it with the relish. Exactly. He mirrors his dad's behavioral issues Tony has with his mother. She got some dumb robe. Polly fucked around and found out. Polly is from the Soviet era. Didn't that Jackie Jr. almost drown in 3 feet of water? Yes. Yes, he did. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're having a great time. We appreciate you joining us.
And see, I love the fact that there's all these people out here that we haven't done this in a year and a half, and these are people that are fans of your show, Phil. They're still in here quoting every line from The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So, like, that shows you how important this show is. Even though, like, we haven't done this in forever, they're in here still quoting.
Exactly. So oh golly, Matt, I'm sorry. I'm distracted for a second here. But so she says goodbye. She has to go here. Actually, to your point, she actually had to go here, but she promises him to come for dinner. But what he
hold on. She has to go to work. Like, that's something. The other girls aren't going anywhere. They have nowhere to go.
He has a job. He has a life. And here we come to the biggest mistake of the episode, Matt. They didn't stop at Roy Rogers.
I know. He pushes it so much.
He wants to stop at Roy Rogers. Get a fucking bird.
Look at how good Polly's hair is there with those wings right there on that side shot.
Look at the wings. Look at how nice.
Look at that compared to, like, the end of this episode. It's amazing.
Look at the convenience store in proximity to where they are. Get some Hostess. Yeah. Get some.
Go in and just fill up on that shit.
Yeah, get some trash. Get a freaking. Get a convenience store sandwich. And also, I don't want to be picky. If we're doing exacting kind of stuff right here, this whole scene would be impossible. You cannot pump your own gas in New Jersey. Before someone else says it, I'll say it. You cannot pump your own gas in New Jersey. So this is bullshit. They wouldn't actually be pumping their own gas. Someone actually has to do it for you. And I think that's still the law. Anyone from New Jersey can correct me if I am incorrect about this, but I'm pretty sure that's the truth.
Tony really loves sticking it to her here.
Yep. He can't wait. Look at the look at his face. He can't wait. He loves it. You think he thinks it's going to make her jealous? Is that why he's excited about this? Because he's petty. He's like
he's also full of himself and thinks like there's some part of Melfi that wants him.
Oh, he definitely. That's what I'm saying. He's like
he's like, you could have me, but instead I'm banging Gloria. It's kind of a fuck you to her.
He's also like a child that just like, to your point, exactly just like sticking it in her face. Like you could be getting this Tony Soprano dick, but Gloria's getting it.
You could have my heavy breathing and spittle all over you.
He wants a stinking of gabagool and cured meats.
Fucking sweating.
Oh my God.
I'm not judging. I mean, I'm the same way.
Sexy. Me too. I'm no prize.
I'm also not sitting here trying to throw that in some woman's face like this could be yours.
No, I'm not smiling at somebody like Tony Soprano to my therapist on Wednesday.
You both got great legs. Like, it's so fucked up.
Yeah, he's just, oh my God. He thinks Melfi wants him so bad. So bad. He's convinced of it. To the point that when Carmela dumps his ass, the first thing he does is go, Melfi, be my wife. That's the first one. Then obviously the whole Adriana thing, we'll get to that later, but.
Well, I mean, but again, this shows you the people that Tony is like, not the people he fucking thinks about, not the people he masturbates to. The people he's in love with, though, are people like her and like Gloria.
Beautiful,
Those are the
Italian-
ones he goes to, like.
Yep. Intelligent, Italian, independent. Even Carmela is independent and wants to do her own thing, and like he likes a certain kind of woman in a certain extent.
Yeah, but I think Melfi has something Carmela definitely doesn't, and that's, it's interesting because he does bring up here how she went to Morocco by herself. He brings that story up all the time, as if he brings up in a previous episode to someone how she goes to Morocco by herself, which is like he can't imagine a woman doing that. Interestingly, later Carmela goes to Italy by herself. She goes with Ro technically, but like
she wants to go to France, but he's like, "Why don't you go to Italy instead?" Like,
Yeah.
but they won the trip and stuff. So everybody, no, it's France. It isn't Italy. It's France because they won the raffle, and he's like, "Why not go to Italy?" But him and Ro go to France together. So we're about to get into the Pine Barrens themselves. Lorraine Bracco is absolutely a smoke show. I agree with that as well. Her personality too, like Lorraine Bracco in real life, is just hilarious. And I know that when they brought her in initially, we've talked about this many times, she was initially reading for Carmela, but it was her choice to kind of go towards Melfi. So this motherfucker's still alive.
And I think that's the right choice. I think Carmela's a way better Carmela than Lorraine Bracco would have been.
I agree. And the big part of this scene, Matt, is that this is kind of a shout out to Goodfellas to a certain extent with when they open up the trunk and Billy Batts is still alive.
Yeah.
Obviously one of the many shout outs to Goodfellas throughout the series. As you mentioned this earlier, blessed from the television and movie gods that it was actually snowing. Such a beautiful
Imagine
shot.
this scene without the snow.
It adds so much. And Steve Buscemi shot the fuck out of this episode. Well directed. You can just feel the energy of this episode, the way it's filmed, handheld here, and kind of with the camera going through, adding a little bit of realness to him walking as he's looking around, going.
Someone who is not scared in the least.
And to your point, Matt, I think when he's seeing it snow, it's almost like Popeye getting some spinach. He's like, oh, It's snowing. This is Russia.
I was made for this shit. These people weren't.
Exactly. What are these fucking cocksuckers gonna fucking do? Yeah, exactly. You think the cold bothers me? And they're gonna make him dig. They're getting pushy here. They're making him dig his own grave.
Yeah, like they're idiots. Like he's a proud guy. There's no way he's gonna like.
They give him a shovel. They should keep him binded.
Yeah, there's no way he's gonna actually sit there and dig his own grave.
This dude survived that.
Well, they don't know this yet. They don't know he killed all the Czechoslovakians.
But I'm saying,
or about the interior decoration.
No, I'm saying, but before that, even Matt, he survived like the trunk of being choked out. Like I'm not untying this dude. I'm making sure he's tied up at all times. I don't give a shit if I have to. They're lazy.
I don't know why he didn't try to get Christopher's gun there.
Because he wanted to get out of. Because he knew he could outrun them. I think his mindset. He knew he could outrun them, and he just wanted to get away because he knew he could run through the woods. Went through the snow faster than they could. And this is a hilarious thing. I remember the first time I saw this, I was just dying laughing. And this is the big moment. Paulie does get him. It looks like Paulie really shoots him in the back of the head. But then
there's no mistaking that.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it right here. That shot. Done.
Yeah. Oh, you literally are a second and a half behind me, but yeah.
And then you see him get up and keep going. And for some reason they stop. Like this is the biggest mistake, that they stop for a second. And here we go. We're about to get to it, Matt. You're going to see it a second before me. You're not telling me this aerial shot doesn't mean anything. We're not to it yet, but now they don't see anything. No trail of blood, nothing.
Yeah, because then they say, the blood stops.
He climbed up the tree.
I think that's still ahead of this a little bit.
You see which way he went. So they find blood and the blood just stops. Yeah, the blood. I'm at the blood stopping right now.
Yeah, I am too.
Where is this prick? You sure I hit him at the head?
You should. They should have made sure he was.
I can hear this now, Phil, from your side.
Cool.
Yeah, there's no way.
Okay, this aerial shot. Yeah, that means something. That fucking means some. Fuck you, Steve Buscemi. That goddamn means something. And yes, Killmonger. They should have made sure he was dead before they left the appointment, Matt. 100% fucking percent. That like if they were gonna do this, you gotta make sure the dude is dead. I'm sorry. They majorly fucked up. as we get Carmela and Tony in this episode. And I mentioned it a lot because I have an acting crush on Edie Falco. She's just so incredible. So Tony calls them, and all these cell phone conversations are gold. They're so gold. You know. The package.
Best part is how
That's such a good line. The package hit Christopher with a shovel.
right. And it's like the only AJ we get in this whole series, this whole episode is like right here in a second.
That might make it your favorite episode of all time, actually.
Yeah. Although there is Jackie Jr. in it, so.
Oh yeah, that evens things out. Oh, there he is. Could the package survive? Do you remember when I don't want to go like I remember when you were a kid, but it reminds me as you hear the lines crossed. The do you remember when real phones? Oh wait, we got to hear the line. Oh, I know it don't work with this guy.
What line?
Oh no, it's a little bit later.
It's after he goes and meets with Slava.
Yeah.
Because they talk. They have that whole.
But Paulie is such a prick. You know, like right away, he's shit talking Christopher to Tony. He's shit talking Tony to Christopher. He's such a little swarmy fucking douchebag at this point in time in the series.
He is, but he honestly, like, having said all of that, it really is beneath Paulie to have to go pick that money up.
Yeah, it is more of a Furio and Benny. Benny's his name. Benny or Furio thing. Like.
Or anyone else, any of Paulie's guys, Paulie has a whole crew on him. Like there's so many people further down the line that can go get his money.
But in fairness, to offer the alternative point, it's not just a simple pickup. It's a favor for Silvio.
Yeah, and I guess in the fact that Silvio's the one person that doesn't have a crew because he's
right.
He is who he is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and Silvio is the number one guy, is Tony's. So he's
right. He doesn't run a crew, so he doesn't have. There's no one that works directly underneath Silvio.
And you can't disrespect the Russian guy by sending just anybody over. You want to send one of your captains at minimum.
Oh, right, because he wasn't disrespectful. Literally walked in. There better not be any ruples in there.
The implement. Thank you.
So the fakest and most unrealistic part of this episode is the fact that during this interaction.
Oh yes, I know exactly what you're going to say. It's not.
What?
It's not Russian standard that he's drinking Grey Goose.
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say the Russian guy gets emotional and a tear runs down his face. And Phil, we know a lot of Russians. They literally do not know how to cry.
No, a better representation of a Russian on television is Red from Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
She pulls it off a lot better from my experience growing up around a lot of Russian folk. And again, my experience too is Russian folks would be drinking Russian Standard, not Grey Goose.
Yeah, they would never do that. We would get Kettle One. Would be sometimes we'd have that.
Yeah, maybe so.
Over Ilya's house, but that's it.
But
again,
maybe
not Grey Goose.
But maybe the Russian Standard. But
yeah.
Usually Russian Standard. We got Wolf Spare in the live chat. Welcome to the discussion. Welcome to the Sopranos. We're about the halfway point of the episode Pine Barrens, but we'll keep you posted where we are. Tony's looking down at the gun, thinking
we're about 26 minutes in right now, time-wise.
Cool. Valerie. So this is where we get a little bit more information about Valerie, and honestly, this never really does come back. This dude never really returns to the show, right? He's mentioned later on in the episode that Tony owes Hesh money. I think it's called Chasing It. It's one of the last episodes towards the end of the series. The one where Hesh's wife ends up dying, and I believe he mentions that he needs to get money from this. He's got to release some money from some Slava at some point. So he does get a mention at some point. So they still have a dynamic and a relationship throughout the series.
Does he have Is he part of the whole thing where Tony beats up the Russian guy who would beat up his sister?
Yes. He's
the one that like okays it.
He gives Tony the information, and Tony comes to him like,
"That's right.
I want to beat the shit out of these guys." do you know them? Are they friends of yours?
Yeah, I mean, Tony's like deep with the Russians because he bangs them.
Yep.
Like multiple ones.
Yep. He has sexually transmitted friendship with them. But that's another one of the like his the one you had a one-legged one on my watch too, Tony. When Janice stole the leg, exactly.
Right. Yeah, she stole the leg.
Americus. Killmonger says, "I love when Polly."
And do you remember why she steals the leg? She steals the leg because the Russians
the records,
sold records.
the records, took the records that Livia gave to her theoretically, which I don't think Livia really gave anybody those.
No Janice in this episode again, so it's
a little bit more nice. So here it is. Again, whoever wrote these lines, Tim Van Patten or Terence Winter, you guys both did an incredible job with this comedy writing. Like in another universe, you guys could have been sitcom writers. Like,
first of all, there's no way that Tony knows what a Chechen rebel is, but he knows enough to repeat it correctly.
Yep.
He also has, and there's no way that Pauly knows the difference between a Czechoslovakian and a Chechen.
Tony's freak out about this signal right there is so goddamn believable.
That's what I'm saying. He's still like, even though he's not the star of this episode, he's still in every single scene is like so on point.
But his house looked like shit. That's the one that gets a lot of credit. That's a hilarious line. Great line read by Michael Imperioli.
His house looked like shit.
Yeah. Very, very comedic stuff. Great coverage by Steve Buscemi in this episode added to the feeling of desperation. And they could have been in like 4 square feet of woods walking and I wouldn't have known the difference. Like the way they film this, it feels like they're really, really lost in the goddamn woods.
Right.
So huge.
And Christopher does such a great job of slowly being concussed and being like, and the hunger like on top of the concussion. And it's like it's so subtle.
Yep. And he goes back to just almost early season Christopher when he just doesn't give a fuck as much. And it's
I'm eating those fucking berries. I'm going to die. I don't care. I'm not going to die hungry.
Fuck you, Polly. I don't give a fuck. I'm eating the fucking berries. And this is where Polly loses his shoe. Oh yeah. Look, he hit it. Oh, this is fucking great.
And they couldn't have done it if they tried. See, what they should have done is done the little Star Wars tauntaun thing and like cut the deer open and climbed inside.
Oh, that would have been fucking disgusting. Ivy, bang, bang, bang. Slava offered to he did tell, and Tony said, I have to handle this on my own. Thank you, Tal. And Killmonger says, I love when Polly hears Tony yelling and Christopher, the guy was an interior decorator. Yeah, his house looked like shit. Oh, this is the part again. Okay, it gives me time to talk about it. What kind of a dumbass is Jackie Jr.? If you don't want to be with Meadow, break up with Meadow, because Tony is associated with that. And you know what this means. Think a couple steps ahead. He threatened you. Do you think that Meadow's not the type that's going to get that information back to her father if you get fucked up? You're ditching her here to go fuck a prostitute. Give me a fucking break, Jackie Jr. And then you hang out with her afterwards. Like, just don't be such a dick asshole. Like, just go up there, do your fucking business, or break up with her. Give it a rest. Don't try to have your cake and eat it too. Because he's just a fucking moron. There's nothing smart about Jackie Jr. But did you know who his father was, Matt? Did you know who his fucking father was?
Yeah, he was the Kimosabe, I believe, is what Brandon called him.
Jackie was a Kimosabe. So here we are to this scene. Polly's lost his shoe. They're at night. They find the ring.
The hair is getting disheveled.
Yep, we're starting.
Look at those wings are coming out.
The wings are moving. The wings are adapting at this point. I don't know. I just think Jackie Jr. You know how Tony at one point about the situation says all my decisions were wrong. I think all Jackie Jr.'s decisions were wrong. He didn't think clearly at all. Yeah, Jackie Jr. thinks he's untouchable because of his dad. He never thinks Tony will actually do anything to him. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Well, especially because his uncle's dead too. Like, there's no
one there to cover his ass. And who's covering his ass? Ralphie? That's who he has. Ralphie and Ro. That's basically it. And Ro doesn't have any pull. She's a wife. She's a
wife of the
ex-wife. A widow of the boss, and now just one of the equal to Janice essentially. So they find this van, which is lucky. Obviously, this episode is very different if there's no van. Just for whatever it's worth, they filmed this on location. The stuff in the van was filmed in a sound stage. It isn't really noticeable. They did a great job with the coverage of it to make it seem like they're really in this van out in the woods. This introduces some of the more hilarious business in this episode. Like, is this when they find the ketchup packets and shit? Brendan was smarter than Jackie Jr. Everyone is smarter than Jackie Jr. How did Vito walk up a hill and get the drop on Jackie Jr.? That's the biggest question of the series.
It's like Die Hard shit.
Yeah, it's like Die Hard shit. So
I heard on the news it's supposed to snow again later this week.
So Tony right now doesn't want to do this. Introduces something again that Matt was talking about earlier. Gandolfini is not the star of this episode. The star of this episode is Paulie and Christopher. Paulie and Christopher. Every piece of business that Gandolfini gets to do in this episode, he's still 100% Tony. He never takes a break. Sometimes you'll see a star take a break or go off to the side. He is just, and what he's playing here is, I just want to get the fuck out of here. Can I just he knows there's a ticking time bomb happening over there with Gloria. And
a lot of the stress that Tony's going through was equaled only by these two. Like, and he's going through it because he's like, he's got to tell Carmela to fuck off. He has her, like, he's got to get out of the house. He has her angry with the London broil.
And this is, and back to Paulie.
And he's got to go deal with Slava. Like, and that's a whole other thing.
And he's dealing with the pressure of these two nitwits on his hand.
Right.
Paulie, this is where Paulie becomes a comic book character in this episode.
Killmonger, I agree with you. I think if this was filmed today, he's drinking Coke Zero.
I would agree. So this is the looks, the eyeballs that Tony Sirico is getting in this scene, the way the hair is coming out at this point, he's full on cartoon character as they find the ketchup.
He really is. He really is a cartoon character at this point.
Look at those eyes.
And that's amazing because Tony Sirico, from all accounts about him, would never let himself look like this in public.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope. And the fact that they got him to do this to his hair and look like this, it's just
young. You gotta mix them together.
Dude, they taste fucking delicious.
Mix it with the relish.
Mix it with the relish. It's special. Have you been eating steak lately? Oh, I can't wait to get to that. Junior has, again, maybe the funniest line in the entire episode, who's the funniest character on the entire show. Like, consistently the funniest character on the show is Junior, and he kills it in this episode too. Speaking of comedic characters, they often play Carmela's parents for comedy. The way they play them here is hilarious too. How could someone eat? He's got glaucoma. Like, they're just right. They're so Jewish for being Italian. It was funny as she plays Lorraine Bracco's Jewish mother in Goodfellas, and she comes off more as a Jewish mother, like she'd be on Seinfeld or something, but she kills it in the game. So this is when Paulie starts trying to build this up as Christopher's fault. Tony sees right through it, though. I don't think Tony ever thinks this is anyone but Paulie's fault.
He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, I lost my shoe. We found a truck.
We got SM down Jay in the live chat. Great to see you, Jay. Richie got chopped up and they served customers that day. Can't believe Junior killed Dickie. I know, mean too.
Hey, we're not. There's no Saints of Newark talking here.
That didn't happen.
No.
Mr. Magoo hiding in the fucking bushes there while someone else does his dirty work. That's all I'm gonna say. Fucking Paulie. Paulie is such a fucking scumbag.
He really is. Not always, but he is here.
But that's the thing. Like, Paulie is a good, fair weather friend. But when things are up against the wall, you can count on Paulie to punch you in the stomach, throw you to the zombie to give him a chance to run away himself. He's not a good, bad situation friend. Right.
Well, because he did this to himself, and now he's like just trying to get out of it by throwing the blame on anyone that he possibly can.
Exactly.
It's Phil's fault. It's Tony's fault for asking him to go.
Exactly. He's a nightmare. He's a fucking nightmare. He really is.
So when Phil said before he braided his hair on both sides, that's kind of what it looked like there on Meadow.
You're absolutely right. That's very similar to the way my hair looks when it's braided.
Phil, you're going to love this shot of your girl right here.
Oh, golly. That's a Sharon Stone shot right there.
It is.
We're smoking the butt and stuff. This is a
glass of wine full of rage.
Oh, dude, look at that. That's like.
You see that saunter over to the door? Like, this fucking bullshit.
That's like my ex right there. Oh my goodness, that's great. I love it. So there she goes. She's walking around.
And listen, for talking about her being crazy and shit, she is very justifiably upset right
She
now.
is, and the two of them, maybe this is part of it too. No, I think of all, even the Russian, he has an interesting relationship and interesting dynamic. No other woman ever cast on the show has equal chemistry to her and Edie Falco. Like, she's the only one that matches that sort of energy. And when they fight, they have just like fire chemistry when they're in a scene together. These two.
I don't know if I think Janice has that too, but it's a different. But that's a brother sister.
Oh, fair. No, because she's an incredible actress.
Yeah.
Totoro. I'm gonna kill her first name, but I believe she's related to John Totoro, but which would fly. Both being acting is genetic. So yeah,
she's incredible. Again, she's one of those characters you didn't even realize was going to be a big deal in the first season, and she's amazing. Same thing with Adriana. Wasn't even a real character.
100%. Matt, I'm gonna go grab a beer. I'll be right back.
Again, this is for all of you people that are old enough to know Wayne's World. This is when I turn into Garth in front of the camera by myself and don't know how to talk. So this is, of course, Paulie again blaming everyone but himself for the problem that is 100% his fault. Cocksucker got the sniffles.
We should have stopped at Roy Rogers. This is fucking
blame
great.
Tony now. He's saying,
dude, this is when everything just breaks down. This is so fucking great.
So Richie Mack, I will agree with you that scene is maybe the funniest scene in The Sopranos.
Oh, the intervention, Richie. Yeah, no, that's a good call on one of the funniest scenes ever.
For a scene, 100% doesn't get better than that.
This is close. This would be in the top 5, top 3 maybe. Like just this moment with them in the. Or is it when when they wake up? And
Paulie's losing his mind, and he's like concussed over there.
Maybe it's when Paulie wakes up, or when Christopher wakes up and Paulie's eating the Mentos. I found some Mentos.
Tic Tacs, yeah.
The Tic Tacs.
Give me your shoes. I can go get help.
Yeah, because
he knows at this point. Fuck you. I'm not giving you my shoes.
Yeah, he wants him to leave them there, rubbing two sticks together to start a fire just to smoke. Yeah, that's such a fucking amazing moment.
And it's a great line. He goes, "We should have stopped at Roy Rogers, and I should have fucked Dale Evans,
but I didn't."
I looked up who Dale Evans was because, of course, that would be someone I've never heard of. She's an actress from like the 50s.
Yeah, it would be like me saying, "And I should have fucked Michelle Pfeiffer."
Hey, was that Killmonger that said he'd never wear that robe? There he is, right there.
Oh yeah, he's wearing it. He's rocking it too.
Post-coital robe he's wearing right now.
Exactly, but oh shit, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to leave." He knows what's. This is amazing.
What now?
Fuck you, what now? I'm freezing my ass off, what now?
Hey, take it easy. I'm protecting it easy. We're fucking starving out here. Come fucking get us.
Come fucking get us.
You don't even know where you are. That's the funniest line. You don't even know where the fuck you are.
Exit fucking 12. And this is like, again, just for the record, just for people in the world, this is map, or maybe MapQuest was a thing at this point, but this is definitely pre-GPS.
100% pre-GPS.
You'd have to like pull out a map and fucking drive down the routes. And Christopher's just losing it too.
I don't know, my head's killing me. My head hurts. I think I gotta do
See that him thinking that
Christopher's in trouble. Yeah.
That's enough to actually get him out there.
At this point, especially considering where it goes with the two of them, Christopher is very important to him right now.
Yeah.
Christopher's his future boss in his mind at this point.
Again, she's justifiably pissed off.
Again, I thought you were going to say again he's wearing the robe.
No, same robe.
Oh, Killmonger says, that's the robe. I forgot he actually wore it.
Yeah, I told you, Killmonger. He actually rocks that robe.
Richie's...
Here we go.
Boom! Boom! And I said it before. If the actual meat being thrown at him was being thrown by Steve Buscemi, imagine that in your imagination. Nookie Thompson, that animal blendetta. The look at his face. Again, The reason why Tony Soprano and James Gandolfini's performance of him is on the Mount Rushmore of acting performances is for smiles like that. Like the smile he gives after he gets hit by the meat when he turns back and looks. That is my friends, that is acting. That is like
I still don't think there's anyone above. Like, again, I haven't watched nearly as many shows as you have, or even my wife has, but like I still don't see anyone.
Honestly, Matt, I've watched a billion shows too, and there's very few I would put in that conversation. Obviously, we don't have to get into this now. I think Mr. Cranston would definitely be a big one to be put in that situation. Also, Mr. Odenkirk for both those shows. But there's not many. Some would argue that Don Draper could be put in that position at times as an amazing character like that. But that's a conversation for a different day, right? I forgot it. I skipped over it, but Junior's line about do you eat steak?
Right.
It's great.
And again, this is Tony's still having a day. Like his day is just getting shittier and shittier and shittier, along with them in the woods.
And imagine Gandolfini looking at a giant dildo right there.
On Bobby Bacala, of all people.
On Shariffa, and then Junior turning, and then Dominic, the actor Dominic, a legend, was in The Godfather too. Looking at a fucking...
and there's a line that happens between them in the car that you brought this up, Phil, where you were like, them out of their element. Tony says to him, do you really know about this stuff? Like the woods and stuff, like that, like the woods and stuff, like that whole concept.
You can see the respect that Tony gets a little bit more for Bobby in that moment.
Yeah. But it's like that's how out of their element that is. Like they know nothing about. I mean, except for going to Uncle Pat's, that would have been their only experience in the woods.
Huge love in the live chat to Marco Jones, who's amazing dude. And I meant to get back to you, so you sent me a message. Happy holidays. Hope that all's been going well, my friend. And thank you so much for popping on in the live motherfucking chat. And Sopranos made a TV series movie. Exactly, it made the experience of watching it like a movie. Call me again. Dumbass. I hope when you watch that car pull away, you know that your life is about to be over. He says it because he kind of knows. He says, don't talk shit to her. That's Tony Soprano's daughter. Then don't fucking fuck a prostitute when you're supposed to be hanging out with Tony Soprano's daughter. Fuck your prostitute on a day that you don't have plans with her, so you don't have to fucking be an awful liar because you're a fucking dumbass.
All these stupid lies that make no sense. Of getting my mom's car inspected at
2 in the fucking morning. Like, what kind of, like, in a situation where he doesn't need to make up an excuse? That's why he's the dumbest. Like, if we're making a Mount Rushmore of the dumbest dummies in television history, Jackie Jr. is on that fucking list. He is moronic. He almost drowned in 3 foot of water, as someone in the chat put out.
Is he the worst actor in this show?
Sharippa?
No.
Jackie Jr.
Jackie Jr., yeah.
No. Sharippa, I think, is good. I think he's good in this episode too. Just for the record, who do I think's the worst actor in The Sopranos?
I mean, of like a quote unquote main character.
Okay, Jackie Jr. then. Probably Jackie Jr. I think AJ's better than Jackie Jr.
Yeah, I mean, AJ's character sucks, but I don't think he's as bad of an
right,
actor.
The performance is good.
No, slow down. Not good, but it's better than Jackie Jr.'s. This scene here.
Yeah, this is so good. This is so fucking good when they finally just lose it. He's eating on the Tic Tacs.
The concussion setting in. Selfish prick doesn't give him a single Tic Tac.
I mean, I was gonna say like Lawrence Taylor or Tony Saragusa or something, but those they don't count.
No, like
I just found them.
What was Tony Saragusa? Was he in one of the games?
I know. I think he was a bouncer or something. Maybe.
Oh,
I could be making that up.
Where you going? Don't go out there. I'm eating those berries. I'm telling you, they're poison. I don't give a shit. At least I won't die hungry.
And Paulie can't deal with it. He can't deal with the fact that Christopher's not listening.
No, I mean, he at least told him they're poison. Don't eat them.
Jackie Jr. deserved that bullet to the back of his head. That's my Uncle Tony. He killed me, but that comes back later. Jackie's a dumbass. Meadow is the best he ever could do, and he just throws it away. Or he's just cuddling.
Yeah, but he knew he couldn't hang on to Meadow. He knew how smart she was.
You sure this is the right place?
I don't know. I think he was dumb enough to think he could juggle it somehow, Matt.
Where's the car?
I love, again, the look on Gandolfini's face as he looks at what they're actually dealing with. Like, he's starting to get why they're all fucked up at this point. Yeah, and the phone's finally just is no hope and just dies and shit.
Yeah.
In the way this whole situation, even you could say in other episodes try things like this. There's a desert episode of Better Call Saul that is very influenced by this episode. There's an episode of Deep Space Nine called The Ascent that's very influenced by this episode. You can just see the influence of this kind of dynamic as this is just a great moment with Christopher pissing right there. Piss on your side of the car.
And fuck you is what puts him over the end. All the shit they've been through, he says fuck you, and that puts. There we go.
Paulie, yeah, things like
right now we're just two assholes lost in the woods.
Yeah,
and that's the line.
This is where Michael Imperioli is playing it like they're doing Waiting for Godot. Like it's a theater show of just two guys that are stuck together.
Yeah,
grumpy old men, whatever, however you want to call it. The way Paulie rises up to make himself look bigger. Oh, okay. Americus answered our question. I'll leave you here, you.
I'll leave you here, you
cocksucker. I'm so fast. You know how fast I am. I'm fast as fuck, boy. I'm fast as fuck. I want to use that soundbite on an animal clip. You know how fast I am, Paulie? You know fast? And then they just look at each other. Christopher. I love crazy Christopher. As Christopher is just
concussed out of his mind.
With his gun, ready to shoot Paulie. Freezing his fucking ass off.
And then Paulie, promise me you won't leave me here.
and then they bond again. This is it's so fucking perfect, man. America says Tony Saragusa was a bouncer when Christopher thought he slept with Adriana. Oh, is the episode where Christopher shows up at the club to shoot Tony's car. He's like, you fucked Adriana. The episode where Tony gets coke with Adriana. Like that's the episode where Saragusa shows up in. He's one of the bouncers at the Bing. Lawrence Taylor was in the game. Frank Sinatra Jr. was pretty bad.
What's his name? David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth was horrible. Noah was pretty bad.
Let's get some fluids in you. We'll send you home later.
Oh my God, this girl.
This girl was pretty bad. Like, she's worse than Jackie Jr.
It's over. He was cheating on me.
Yeah, Walt and Jesse also got stuck in the desert. Did you say the episode too when Mike and
Saul got stuck in the desert?
Saul got stuck,
that was a great fucking episode of TV. But definitely, again, influenced by this.
Right.
Breaking Bad was great too. If Matt and I, when all this is done, we're not going to do Breaking Bad, but I want to do like a singular podcast where we talk about both shows because I know and we don't have to talk about this now. I think that's the show that's in the conversation for me. If I'm talking about best, also The Wire as well. I think for me, it comes down to those three as my three greatest television series of all time. The order shifts sometimes. Like I know my co-host on my Usual Suspects podcast and good friend Tony Teflon would say it was The Wire 100%. For me, it's Breaking Bad, Sopranos, and The Wire, and all of them mixing in. And sometimes one of them is first, sometimes another one is first. It depends the moment. Sopranos is the one I've rewatched the most, though, for whatever that means. It's the one I go back and watch over and over and over again.
The thing about The Sopranos, we're not doing this now because I'm going to start
we can't do this now.
I'm going to start doing it.
Let's stick to Pine Barrens here. Okay, so
let's get a good look at them right now. How fucked up his hair is at this point. I mean, they are just...
Dude, they're fucked. Like, if Bobby and Tony don't find them initially, they're in major trouble.
You know who's not fucked right now? The Russian. He's probably fine out there somewhere.
Yeah, no, dude. He's been saved by... If we're going by the show canon that David Chase has put out there, he's been caught by Boy Scouts at this point, eating some Girl Scout cookies and hanging out and having a good time. Marco Polo! And again, the way they film this too, you can just sense the scope of the area of which they're in. Vito isn't the best. Oh, I know your opinion. Don't you think Pussy is like the worst actor on the show?
Me?
Yeah. Don't you hate Big Pussy?
Oh yeah, he's terrible. He's awful.
Or Skip, your buddy Skip.
I just that was just a poor casting decision. I don't know why. Like,
Oh my god! If anyone's ever been out and stuck in the fucking snow like this and got their foot cold, you can just relate to it. Polly, shoot the fucking shit.
what if we need the bullets? He yells. It's like, what?
That's no deer hunter.
And Bobby's showing his worth.
Who was the
there.
most villainous characters? I would say, Richie Aprile.
Yeah,
to me.
hold that question. We'll get into that after the episode, because there's a lot of good answers to that, and I want to really get into your question, Luna. So we will get into that once this episode done, as we're in the final stretch here. So I want to make sure I get all of this. As this is the only part of the episode where the geography is a little off, but I think it's where they're suddenly right on top of each other. All they needed to do was turn around. But whatever, I'll accept it. I'm being nitpicky because this is called the greatest episode on television history. So
Yeah, and again, these are four idiots that have except for Bobby, who have no idea anything about the woods, like how to find their way around, what any trees are. He makes some point earlier in the episode about like what direction they're going in, and Christopher's like, that means fucking nothing to him.
yeah, we already have some good answers for that, and we will definitely get into Luna's question. I'm scrolling up and I'm keeping the chat stuck on Luna's question because it's gonna be the first thing we're gonna talk about when the episode is done. So we get into this whole point. They see how fucked up these guys are. They get back to the car, and they think about going after the Russian guy here, and they ultimately leave it up to Polly. So okay.
Tony loves to do that. Tony loves to leave it up to people, and and rightfully so.
And in this situation, this is where Tony starts to put together that Polly fucked up. He's like, none of this is on Christopher. You can see the wheels moving.
And I think part of him saying this to Polly is like, you want to be a fucking captain. That's your thing. So act like a fucking captain.
Yeah, and the money was in there too. And obviously, yeah, the kid stole it. Did the guy steal it? Who got the car?
And Christopher sits here and backs up Polly throughout this.
He does. He's because Christopher's a straight up guy. Christopher he's actually a good person.
The guy fucking lunges us. He looks over it. He looks over at Christopher and he's like, yeah.
Yep.
I know it's fucked up, but it's okay, really. Just forget it.
And this episode has one last amazing moment we just got right here. What if this guy comes back? Polly decides ultimately not to. I'll take the responsibility for it if I want to take responsibility. It makes it seem like it's something that's going to come back. But this episode is the gift that keeps on giving, because you get one last final moment, as we'll all see it here. And I want to, when Tony you see in one yell, it's like that point in a relationship when you're past the breakup point and there's no coming back. And everything somebody does, like you get pissed off that someone stretches too loud or something. You're like, what the fuck, you're stretching so loud? Like with the mayonnaise on his lip when Tony yells at Polly, you got mayonnaise on your fucking lip. It's so funny and it's so true to life when you've come to a point where you're just done with somebody, where no matter what they do is going to annoy you from this point on. And they play that. And in fairness to the Sopranos moving forward, if something happens in an episode, it keeps going all the way through. Tony does never, to the end of the entire series, even though he gives him more responsibility because he doesn't have a choice, never respects Polly after this. Never does. And he did before this. Like, this is the moment where he loses faith in Polly. And then Polly goes to jail after this. It's one of the weird things that happens on The Sopranos. Polly goes to jail between seasons 3 and seasons 4. So he fucks up here.
Well, no, you know why he had to go to jail, though, right? He had like back surgery.
Right, the real actor did. But
right.
If you fit into the canon of the show, Paulie majorly fucks up back to back. He fucks up here, and then he gets himself sent to prison. And Tony is done with him from this point on in the series, for the most part. He still works with him, obviously. He's the last man standing in some ways. but that look on Polly's face as we play the soprano
And he
music
knows he can trust him more than he can trust certain other people. Like he can trust him more than Ralphie, but Ralphie makes him a lot of money.
Right. He never quite has the same level of respect or connection with Polly ever again. As
Right. I mean, the whole thing with like Pyomai and that painting.
I forgot
where it's
this.
like, no, you never come around anymore.
I forgot that there was one more Milfy scene.
She seemed like a happy person.
As Tony starts yelling at Milfy.
Yeah, well, because he was literally throwing it in her face last time, and now he's like, she's fucking crazy.
And I love how Lorraine Bracco plays this so smug. Like I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah. What do you think, asshole?
Yeah, what'd you think? She's fucking
She's here seeing me.
exactly. And
by the way, Tony's line right there, but I do the right thing by my family.
does
The
he?
fuck do you do right by your family?
I think his more true line is why does everything have to be so hard? You really feel that one. But that's the delusion. That's the not psychopath, but the fucking narcissistic fucking murderer in Tony Soprano right there. Like I do good by my family. In what fucking world do you do good by your family, Tony?
Right.
You're horrible. You're a horrible father to AJ. You're a good father to Meadow for the most part because she doesn't need you. And you can just be like a force of giving her what she wants and giving her like support. She doesn't actually need you like AJ actually fucking needed, you know.
Well, I mean, the best thing it is for AJ, though, is try to keep him out of
everything. Yeah, keep AJ out of everything. Yeah, but still, I don't think he's a tremendous father. I think he's not the worst father in the world, but I wouldn't call him a
No,
great
he's not
father.
the worst father because he at least tries to do stuff with AJ.
Okay, so that is the episode Pine Barrens. One of the best episodes. Is it the best episode of The Sopranos? It's one of them. I don't care what your particular episode is. I'd have to really think about it, to think about what my favorite episode of The Sopranos is. But Matt, this one would definitely be in the conversation.
I agree. I think a lot of The Sopranos is more about maybe scenes than episodes completely because it does such a good. So having said that, this is like the longest scene that's this good.
Yes. And to be fair, the part of this episode that's most memorable, even though the rest of it is amazing, is like one long scene. It is. Yeah. It's one extended odyssey with two of the greatest characters. So we're going to get to all of your chats before we call it and do some trivia and do a few other things, and then I'm going to get Matt out of here. But with a couple questions. The first question here we got from Luna. Phil and Matt, who is one of the most villainous characters, or who are some of the most villainous characters in Sopranos history? I mean, some of the obvious ones, and I'll throw this over to Matt in a second. I think some of the obvious ones are obviously Richie and Ralphie and Phil. I think those three were set up as villainous characters. But I think, to me, the biggest villainous character on the show, and I know Matt will probably think I'm going to say Olivia, but because she is definitely one of them too, would be Tony himself. Tony spins it around from being one of the best characters on the show to also being the biggest villain on the show. You're just manipulated as an audience, just like everyone else is. That's part of The Sopranos. Tony is the worst of them all. In some ways, he's not quite as bad as Ralphie, but he understands that he sees some of Ralphie in himself. Think about what he does, and Matt disagrees with me on this one, but see what he does with that bodyguard at the Bing, and how many times he beats the shit out of that guy for just being stupid. Like, Tony is almost as bad as Ralphie.
But Ralphie kicked the shit out of the guy for no reason. At least the guy was annoying the shit out of Tony.
Ralphie was coked up and had just seen Gladiator.
Tormenting him for no reason.
He saw Gladiator.
Tony, listen, that bouncer had like...
But Tony fucked with that...
the ice, he had like 10 times to shut his fucking mouth. And every time he opens his mouth again, everyone watching is like, oh, dude, just don't. Don't say it. Like, don't do it. Like, and yeah, he's just a hothead who snapped. But like, you know, there's a lot of those people in the world. So,
Matt, who are some of your favorite villains, or who do you think your number one villainous person from The Sopranos?
I think Richie's the scariest to me.
Richie, okay, but I mean, he's very tall. That Richie, he's a big guy.
But that's the thing. He's got that Joe Pesci in Casino sort of like. It doesn't matter that he's a little guy. He is the scariest guy in the room at all times, and he's the only person I think, in the show that you ever feel Tony's kind of a little bit afraid of.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think he's ever afraid of Ralphie.
I don't think he's ever afraid of Ralphie. He doesn't trust Ralphie. He knows Ralphie's an asshole. He knows that Ralphie's a shithead. I don't think he's afraid of Ralphie.
And
I think there's a part of him. I don't think he's just intimidated. Like Richie, he's a little bit scared of, I think. Now, that's also in a very different time in his life. He had just gotten the position that he was in. He didn't grow up with Richie. He grew up with his brother, where he grew up with Ralphie, you know?
Yeah. Ralphie was the little dick bag that hung out with them a little, you know, was the
Ralphie and Tony Blundetto and Jackie and him.
Yeah, they sold weed. They had a little crew. They thought they were the biggest
they took down a game, except Ralphie had the clap. So
yeah, because that hippie chick he fucked at the
that fucking hippie chick always giving him the clap.
Yeah, the hippie chick gave him the clap.
And it's so funny because now later on you learn all the weird kinky shit that Ralphie's into. So God knows what he was doing.
Was Tony as afraid of Phil as he should have been if you really think about the numbers New York had over them? Or where do you put Phil on this ranking? I guess is a better way of saying it.
The weird thing is, Phil was really kind of justified in a lot of the stuff that he did. Like, people killed people around him.
And he was also old school, like Richie, in a lot of ways.
Old school, Janice. Yes, but like, there was no reason for what happened to Beansy to happen to Beansy.
Yeah. I backed over him and went forward and over him again. That's what I did.
Although, having said that, Phil did that to Benny, and Benny didn't deserve that either.
Yeah, that's true. He absolutely did.
They fucked him up in that car.
They did. They fucked Benny up. Let's go into best season of The Sopranos. Ralphie was the most annoying. Phil Leotardo. We got Phil Leotardo. Let's keep going in the live chat. Sopranos. But Breaking Bad was great too. I used to be able to write off condoms. David Lee Roth. That's his line. The agent who handled the veto was pretty bad. I'll take that. Livia was the most evil. Phil was probably the biggest villain. Richie, our Phil, no, Sopranos Phil. Got to go the ham, get the carving knife, stab me right here, kill me right here in front of all of you guys. Most annoying character. I know Matt's answer already before he says it. Matt, who's the most annoying? Your most annoying character?
AJ, obviously.
Not obvious. Meadows pretty fucking annoying too.
No, because every version of it. There's versions of him of Meadow that aren't annoying as she ages. Every version of AJ gets more annoying as he gets older.
We can say that it's definitely Tony's kids. One of Tony or Jackie Jr. Tony's kids.
Jackie Jr.'s not on it long enough. It's the one reason why maybe Richie isn't the best villain, because he's not on it long enough.
Fair.
He's on it for like half a season or a season maybe.
Couldn't you say, and that's why Tony's my answer, because couldn't you say that about every villain on the show? That's one of the, they don't have, unless you want to say Johnny Sack was a villain, but he wasn't really. He was more of an ally. They never really had a long-term adversary for Tony that would have eventually gone against him in the end. I mean, maybe you could have done that with Johnny Sack, and Johnny Sack was playing, a long game, but you did it with Phil eventually. You had Phil one season. You had Carmela one season, season 4. You had Richie, you had Ralphie. You'd never really had one ongoing one that you ever really believed. Junior in the first season, and Livia. So, I mean, Junior would have been a good example. I guess Junior won by shooting him in season 6 and fucking him up. But I don't know. I think if anything, The Sopranos could be accused of having a limit for was a proper adversary for Tony Soprano. And that's why I would say Tony is Tony's biggest adversary, and his biggest adversary through the entire series was his own.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him a villain necessarily.
But he was a fucking villain in that last season. He turned full.
Yeah, he was pretty fucked up.
He turned full heel, like killing Christopher and then fucking his girlfriend while taking mushrooms. I mean, that's pretty fucked up. And then getting pissed off that everyone was like upset that Christopher was gone. And anyways, well, we're gonna get to that. Ralphie was the most annoying. Ralphie was the best. Dawn doesn't wear shorts. Best season of The Sopranos.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't reading all of these. Yes. Richie is the most dangerous, and he has the follow through 100%.
Yeah. Richie's the one that if Junior had given him the okay, he would have taken out Tony.
And listen, as far as people that were quote unquote under Tony had everyone under control except for Feach LaManna and fucking
Richie and
Richie Aprile. Richie would like literally just do the exact opposite of what Tony told him. Like, you cannot do this.
Even
he would do it, and Tony didn't do shit about it. That's the other thing. Tony didn't do anything about it.
even Ralphie, he punched him, he stole his girlfriend, and took his horse. And he still was willing to give Tony those fat ass envelopes to help him.
He didn't give him to Tony. He gave him to Anthony.
Anthony.
He always called him Anthony.
He always did because he knew him better. Meadow and Tyle whiny. I'd say Walter's a better father than Tony. I think Walter cares about his kids more than Tony. I think even with like Walter really wants to make sure, but Walter didn't do it for his family.
I think Walter got his kids way closer to danger than Tony did.
He got his whole family closer to danger because Walter's a fucking idiot. But Walter also actually went into it for his family, even though ultimately he kept doing it because he loved it. I think
he also didn't have like the mindset to honestly like. Tony has the mindset to run.
Yeah,
Walter doesn't have that.
Walter's not a leader.
He just gets crazier and more fucked up as he goes
and
on.
More narcissistic. Walter's more narcissistic than Tony. Tony's more of a psychopath. But Walter's more narcissistic. Almost no television character in the history, except for maybe Barney Stinson on How I Met Your Mother. But no, even Barney is insecure. It's tons of insecurity. But Walter is too. But narcissistic. Like Walter is 1,000% narcissistic.
Englewood Rose, I was thinking of that line earlier tonight. There's no stigmata anymore. It's hilarious. Because it's one of the few times where you see why Carmine Jr. mispronounces everything is because of that line. There's no stigmata.
There's no stigmata in that. I pride myself on malapropisms as well.
You Phil, you're great with them.
Yeah. Sexual in the window. I used to always say that shit all the time. Like especially in the play-by-play I feel like play-by-play to the Sega Genesis basketball games was a precursor to doing this show. Like that was me doing this show before I did this show.
Yeah.
Best season of The Sopranos though. All in all, I think The Sopranos' best season is seasons 2 through 5. It's hard for me to pick one, but I would say seasons 2 and 5 are my favorite seasons. 4 is close, but I would say 2 and 5. 5 is the Tony Blendato season.
See, I think Tony Blendato is one of the worst characters on the show, or one of the least.
I know you do. I just really love season 5. That's the season that we get like features in it, and it's when the war with New York starts and stuff like that. Season 4 is Tony and Carmela breaking up. I think season 3 has some of the best episodes, but it's not the most cohesive season because it's a season that was written on the fly because Livia died. Season 2 is the most flawless season of The Sopranos. So if we're saying the best made season, the season where they had at least the least interruptions to the story that they wanted to tell, that's season 2. So, which is the Richie season, which is Janice killing Richie at the end, which is with the fallout of Livia and Junior and everything they did, and Tony dealing with that, and Livia creeping back into his life, and Janice becoming bigger character. I think that is the best orchestrated full season of The Sopranos is season 2, even though there's great things about all of them, Matt. Even the Kevin Finnery
I'm
stuff.
trying to think of Adriana's role in season 2 off the top of my head, and I can't where
they weren't really characters.
That's just an other amazing character that's in there. Is Adriana.
Adriana becomes more of a character later. I believe
3 and 4.
In 3 and 4, but Artie's more of a character early on, I think, in some ways, and even Artie becomes more. I think season 3 is.
I love the evolution of Artie over the whole show. Not even that he changes, but just how their friendship survives.
Yeah, and it's the one real friend he has.
Yeah.
Let's continue here. It's hard to pick a favorite. All seasons have their great moments. Tony arguing over Furio is great. That's season 4. Season 4 is definitely some people's favorite. It's the family drama. It's the breakup. It's the divorce.
And it's the Ralphie. It's
Ralphie getting killed in that season as well. 1 in 6, but they're all good, says Mr. Rogers. What went on up there, Poppers and Weird Sex? Furio could have killed Tony with a helicopter and gotten Carmela. Walter justified his criminality by saying he did it for his family. Who protects the family against the man who protects his family? Is Whitecaps the the episode with the big talk. Yes, Whitecaps, which is again probably maybe my favorite episode of The Sopranos, or one of my favorite, because Matt's right. The Sopranos, as much as I want to judge it on seasons and episodes, Sopranos, when I think about it more in scenes.
You just think of the two of them in that
argument. House. Yeah, having that argument and breaking it down and breaking up, and how anyone that's been in one of those arguments that breaks up, or even if you get back together after that, we've all been in those kind of and I think that's part of what The Sopranos does better than a lot of other shows. It makes you feel, even though it's a show about the mafia, it makes you feel I've been in that situation. That meme of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV, like, I know that. There's some element of that in The Sopranos where everything that happens, you're like, I know that. Like, I felt that. I felt that.
And in that scene,
me.
It's those two actors doing, like, putting on a masterclass that, like, you know, Skylar can't have that scene with Walt because she doesn't have those chops. You know, Those two actors have those chops.
It's hard to pick a favorite. Adriana is window dressing, says Wolf Spear. Give me $1,000, fill the issues guy. I would love that, John Haymaker. I'll tell you what, John Haymaker, you donate a $2,000 super chat, I'll give you 1,000 of it. I promise. Poor Furio never got a chance to sleep with Carmela. I know, he didn't even really get a kiss, did he? All he got was flirting. They never even kissed.
Yeah, I don't think she's that. Well, nothing.
Leave Carmela alone.
She seems like she's probably not the most adventurous person.
Killmonger says Blue Comet was one of my favorite episodes. It's like Ozymandias. Blue Comet is the episode that both Bobby Bacala and Syl get shot. Very good episode. It's the second to last episode, I believe, of The Sopranos. Made in America is a good episode too until the end. I know we're going to talk about this a lot because we are finishing this series. And now that I got Matt doing this, I'm going to get him to commit to doing this once a month. So
the episode with again, scenes, Bobby Bacala's dad, like Bert.
Bert Young.
Yeah. Bert. Absolutely one of the best one-off characters
Uncle
in
Paulie.
any TV series of all time.
Uncle Paulie, 100% Matt. And especially because that worked on us all knowing him from Rocky, like Uncle Paulie. It was just an amazing performance. And early on, we were talking about that the last time we were doing this, when we were doing it more steady. We bumped into a few episodes in a row that were just some of the best episodes of The Sopranos we've seen. And as much as I want to shit on season 3 because of the Jackie Jr. crap, there's a lot of really great stuff that happens. I think the problem with it, is that Livia was supposed to be a bigger part of season 3. In fact, I think the culmination, the final endpoint of season 3 was supposed to be Tony finally killing Livia because of those plane tickets that get set up at the end of season 2. She makes a deal with the FBI and he ends up actually killing her. So that was the original ending to season 2, and Jackie Jr. was supposed to be a lesser part. Same stuff was going to happen, and Tony was going to have to deal with at the end of the season, killing both his someone that he considers almost like a son and his mother. And that was going to be a big weight on Tony, but they had to change the...
I don't think Tony thinks of him as a son towards the end at all. He is like...
No, he gives up. Once he beats the shit out of him in the next episode, I think it is.
In the bathroom?
I think that's next episode, actually. What's up, Loner Cognito? Another fucking toothpick. A one-legged woman? What she got that I don't have, Tony? What she got that I don't have? And I love, not love because it's horrible, but when Tony comes back at in the second part of that argument, when he's like, you asked me that, when he finds out about Furio, you asked me about that question, and you actually see him give Carmela what he can do, you know, like that, Tony, I'm going to destroy you and say the worst possible thing I could possibly say to you. And he gets all into that, and he's like, yeah, you know what's the difference between you and that one-legged girl? You're not fun. She's like, I'm fun. It's like such a real argument.
It's so awkward.
Like I've had that argument too many times, Matt. Too many fucking times. I know, Loner Incognito, after going through the final 3 episodes of The Walking Dead after House of the Dragon, it's good to be back talking about a good show. I'm going to be talking about Sopranos with Matt on and off, and Joe and I will be starting to do The Last of Us in January. So and
Phil, I think you and I have definitely been doing this show way longer than it was on the air at this point.
I think so. I'd have to think about, like, I know when we started doing it again, I think it was about a year and a half too, Matt. I think it was 2000. 2021 that we did like a bunch of episodes in a row. I'd have to look back.
No, dude, I had surgery in July of 2021. I have
No,
not
and
done
we
it.
were doing it in like April of 2000. The last one we did, I believe, was April 2020.
And we were doing it relatively regularly, but
Yeah.
like before that, we didn't do it for the first year I was in Vermont.
No, we did. We missed when we started in my last apartment when I was in Marblehead. It had been 900 days since our last one when we did it. It was not like 900.
Oh, Jesus. So that's like almost 3 years, and then God knows how long we were doing it before that. So
Right. So I think I'm not sure. We're getting close. We're getting close to going as long as. But now that we've done this, Matt, we're gonna try to do this once a month. I'll try to bother you with this at once. Well, I won't force.
yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, we'll start out here as doing once a month. The next one we're gonna watch 2 episodes. We're gonna watch the final 2 episodes of season 3.
That would be good just to get season 3 done with.
Not
Not that I want to get done with season 3, but
right,
like,
but that we have 2 left. We might as well just bang out the last 2 ones. Arma Fu or whatever it is, and Full Metal Jacket. Loner Incognito, you are amazing. I will keep doing these after parties as long as people keep hanging out and having a good time. Matt, let's go through a couple of little trivia points in this episode, and then I'm gonna get you out of here. Obliques, your whole thing, oblique. I agree. Jackie Jr. would have absolutely done that.
Well, no, because she meant the word oblique as in like dull or like stupid, but like he wouldn't know the other meaning of it. But okay.
Now these are all IMDb stuff, so you can look this up yourself. Pine Barrens is a protected wilderness area in the New Jersey, blah blah blah. The idea of the episode's premise of Christopher and Polly getting lost in woods reportedly a dream that Tim Van Patten had and told it to Terence Winter, and they presented it to David Chase. Chase endorsed Winter's idea, who said it would be a good move to show Polly and Christopher in an unfamiliar environment with the pair away from the crime in a strange setting, while backcountry you could see the bickering from the kids. The forest scenes in the episode were filmed at the Harriman State Park in New York. At the last moment, the production team was denied a permit to film in New Jersey in the actual Pine Barrens. The snow fell out unexpectedly just before the actual shoot, as Matt mentioned earlier.
That's so amazing. I just imagine that shoot without the snow.
It's just you can't.
Then it's like, oh, it's cold out, but you're like, is it really fucking cold? And
yep. I forgot to play this. I know I don't have every opportunity to play this because it's not my show, and I made this for somebody else. But for once, let me be able to play this for myself. Okay, thank you. I made that theme song for somebody else, but it's about time I played it on my own show. Okay, the snow fell out. The interior of the truck shot was on a soundstage, as I mentioned. The actor's freezing breath was added by CGI. The director's...
Ooh.
Yeah, so no breath was... The breath in the soundstage scene was CGI's added. I don't think that was the real Pine Barrens. Yeah, and that's what they said right here. The forest scene was filmed at Harriman State Park in New York after at last moment the production team was denied a permit to film in New Jersey at the South Mountain Reserve by the Essex County Commissioner, who called The Sopranos a disgrace to Italians. The same commissioner was later incarcerated for corruption. The actual New Jersey Pine Barrens have significantly different landscape than the area that was showed in the show. The Barrens are vastly more forested with pine trees, hence the name. So the snow fell out of that location unexpectedly. As we mentioned, the interior of the truck was a soundstage, and the actor's freezing breath was added by CGI. Director Steve Buscemi was the one who successfully threw a stake at James Gandolfini's head in Tony's argument. And neither the prop handlers or Annabella, who's the actress that played Gloria, was able to hit James Gandolfini with the stake, so Buscemi had to do it. I love it. Pine Barrens took 12 days to shoot, setting a record for the longest episode shot in The Sopranos. And it shows. It shows that this episode took a little bit more time to shoot than the average Sopranos episode. With some of the wide-ranging shots, you can see Steve Buscemi's influence from hanging out with the Coen brothers. This is a notable factual error in the episodes where Paulie is seen pumping his own gas. All gas stations in New Jersey are full service, meaning that the only gas station attendants are allowed to pump the gas. According to Steve Sharippa, James Gandolfini challenged him to make him laugh. We talked about this earlier too with the dildo. Gloria was the theme song. AJ was watching a song called Coffee and TV by Blur. Widely regarded as one of the best episodes of The Sopranos, due to mostly to the dark comedy between Christopher and blah, blah, blah. And that's about it. I can go into the IMDb trivia, but no one gives a shit about that stuff. So, Matt, as I mentioned before, let's look to our poll here. And is this the best episode of The Sopranos? Out of the people that voted...
No. That wasn't the poll, Phil.
Yeah,
that wasn't what you asked.
Oh, is this the best episode of the TV ever? 52%, which 42 people voted, not a small amount. 42 people voted. 52% of those people said yes. Obviously, these are people that are watching you and me talk about The Sopranos on a fucking Monday night on 12/12/2022, many years after The Sopranos already aired. But yes, not close second, but 28% of the people say no, but it's the best Sopranos episode, and only 19% say no, Matt. So is it to you, Matt? I asked this a couple of times. Is this the best Sopranos episode? And is this the best hour?
Sopranos episode? Again, I know you've never seen the show, but the final episode of The Americans is like one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen.
Yep.
This is certainly up there, though. Because, again, there's no show ever on television, maybe like a sitcom, but like no drama show where there's this many characters that I care about this much on the TV show. Because of that, like The Sopranos is always going to like get over other shows.
Do you have a episode of Breaking Bad that's your favorite episode?
Full disclosure, I've only watched Breaking Bad
once.
I've seen a couple episodes a few times.
Okay, for me, I think my favorite episode of Breaking Bad is probably Ozymandias, which is the episode in which Hank gets shot in the desert.
That's an amazing episode. It's an amazing episode.
That's the conversation of greatest episode of television history for me. This is in the conversation. But we've watched a lot of but the problem with The Sopranos and the conversation for greatest episode of all time is there's a lot of episodes in the conversation. So even if it's one of...
Well, the other thing The Sopranos never did was, I'm thinking, well, I guess they did towards the end, but like there weren't a lot of the same cliffhangers that other shows had. When he gets shot by Junior, that was one.
Matt, the reason why Ozymandias is my favorite episode, is probably my favorite episode of television. It's because there was so much stakes built up for that moment, and it all paid off in a satisfying way. And no other shows that build up stakes like that, I feel like, have paid off as well as Breaking Bad did in that moment. Everything that they'd set up from the beginning with Walt getting into this behind Hank's back, like it all came to an amazing head in that moment. So The Sopranos, to your point, is a series of some of the greatest scenes in television history strapped together in a dreamlike state at times. Breaking Bad was a rock solid narrative that had an apex kind of episode. So it's hard for me to not have that be the greatest episode in television history. But again, Pine Barrens is in the fucking conversation. And as for best Sopranos episode, again, I would probably put it in... I can only do this in a way that when people ask the question of the greatest sports athletes of all time or the greatest of all time, I mean, I think in certain sports it's easy, especially hockey. Actually, hockey is the one sport where there's not really an argument. I think most people generally agree that Wayne Gretzky is the greatest of all time. Every other sport, there's an argument. But for me, it's all about a table. Like if you're sitting at that table, are you one of the greats that are sitting at that table? Because you can't really say who's the greatest this, who's the greatest that. You know, who's the greatest basketball winner of all time? People with Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. But Bill Russell won 11 and 13 years. So let's not take it away from Bill Russell or how dominant Kareem was. You know, I'm not going to bring
people now. Steph Curry, people would say like he's at that table. He's not. I'm not going to.
Right, but he's sitting at the table, especially if we're going
LeBron James at the table.
If we're going best shooters, but there's a lot of people sitting at the table. Some people are sitting at the kids' table. Some people are sitting, but like people are sitting at the table. I'm stealing Shannon Sharp's thing. Like Shannon Sharp says this, and it's a good way of thinking about it. You can't really say the best, but who's sitting at the table? And for television shows, in television episodes, Pine Barrens is at the table with a head spot. You know, like it's there. Yeah. Like it's hard to argue that.
And again, Phil, we discuss this all the time when we talk about this show. None of these other shows there would not be a Breaking Bad moment that's that great if the Sopranos hadn't done this already.
And if we're talking basketball, which Matt and I should do a basketball stream at some point because we could definitely talk about it. Kobe's definitely at the table too. I'm putting Kobe at the table.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm putting Kobe. I'm putting Shaq's hanging out around there too. Shaq's hanging around the table.
At the table.
Yeah, Shaq's at the table. But he's in a company of a lot of really great centers. You know, like Shaq's crazy dominant.
Yeah, all right, we really can't do this right now.
Do you want Akeem in his prime or do you want Shaq in his prime? All I'm saying is a conversation. It's a conversation.
It is a conversation. So I made up a starting five of mine recently. We don't need to do this right now.
No, we don't. We don't need to.
What I would do if I could honestly make my all-time starting five, I would put Akeem at the 4 and put Shaq at the 5.
That's dangerous, dude. That's fucking dangerous.
I'm just saying,
dude. That's a good team. That's a good team. That's a good team. Okay. Anyways, we don't have to do this right now.
We don't need to do all this because I have that. But AI is at the table. You know what's funny? I saw a thing about AI the other day when it was actually Kobe quote just talking about AI. His quote is, "Man, he's like, we were lucky that AI wasn't 6'8" because." Okay,
Matt. I know we were talking The Sopranos tonight, but finally we got a phone call on what we're talking about now. So let's listen to our one phone call and then we'll call this.
Please, because I got to stop posting stuff in the chat about basketball.
No, this is going to be about basketball. Watch.
Oh, no.
For the TV shows, it seems like you only are putting dramas at the table.
Okay.
But I would also say Friends or whatever is at the table for best show of all time. And I didn't particularly like the last few episodes, but for a really long time, Big Bang Theory was one of the best shows I've seen. No.
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily put Big Bang at the table, but I would put like Seinfeld and Cheers at the table too. Like they'd be.
I don't know if you ever saw Fleabag, but if anyone in here saw Fleabag, it was only 2 seasons, but that's like as well as a show has ever been done. So I would put that at the table too. And that's not one of these dramas.
Loner Incognito. Yeah, we totally went off stream. So we're like, just like Christopher and Polly in the woods, we're going off stream. We're losing our mind here, but we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Matt and I will be back within a month to do another episode, maybe.
Well, probably after the new year though, right?
Yeah, after the new year. Sometime in January we'll do it. Towards the, what's today's date? Today it is the 12th. Yeah, mid-January, because The Last of Us starts January 15th. So maybe the first couple weeks of January after the new year.
I'm having some weird procedure done to, again, maybe fix the third surgery that went wrong in my mouth on January 20th, but it shouldn't be something that keeps me from being able to do this.
Loner Incognito, that's a great comparison. For a TV show, I think Kobe is Tony Soprano. I can see, I weirdly can see that. Like that strangely makes sense, like numbers turning into colors when you have synesthesia. So on that note, everyone, thank you so much. If you haven't already and you enjoyed this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Stick around. I will have some more stuff soon. I'll be back. I'm going to be doing an end of the year stream. I invited Tony Teflon on, and him and I are going to do a best shows of the year stream sometime in the next couple of weeks before the new year. Basically, and I'm going to bring him to a vote. We're going to nominate best shows. And we have our nominations, and then we're going to put it to the chat and do quick polls and votes and see what wins. So we're gonna do best show of the year, best actor, best actress, and anything else random we make up on the spot. So
I'm gonna throw a couple shows out there to people if they've never seen them, because go watch The Americans if you've never seen it. And a show that's still currently being made, it's a German show, but it's called Babylon Berlin. That's one of the best shows I've ever seen, hands down.
Babylon Berlin.
Babylon Berlin. It's in German, so you got to suck through that. But it is it's brilliant. It takes place between World War I and World War II, so we kind of know where it ends up happening, but they don't in the show. But it's just Really well done. It's very smart. It's a lot going on. They don't dumb it down for anyone. That's a show someone turned me on to. I've watched recently.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I don't need to tell you guys because it's dumbly popular right now. But the Wednesday Addams series is pretty good if you like this Addams family. So
Takes place in Vermont.
check that out. Oh, it does. It's filmed. Yeah.
And Louis Guzman actually lives in Vermont. He's like the most famous.
Oh,
person
he's
in
fucking
Vermont.
hilarious. He's great. I mean, he's an amazing actor. He's in some amazing movies like Carlito's Way, obviously in Oz, other things too. Great fucking actor.
He's in Waiting, of course. He's like a huge part of
Cobra
Waiting.
Kai is an amazing show. Cobra Kai will be in the list of nominations, and
This season of Cobra Kai is going to be in the list.
well, performance-wise, maybe Chosen might be in our best guest star list going on. Chosen was pretty damn good. But you didn't enjoy. It's a different subject altogether. But we could turn this into Cobra Kai discussion.
I honestly
later.
haven't even finished it because I found this season so insufferable. that
Interesting. Joe had a similar reaction to it.
I loved the first couple seasons of Cobra Kai. Loved it.
Yeah. See, I changed the artwork to Cobra Kai. Here we are. We're talking some Cobra Kai at the end. See, I still enjoyed it. I know a lot of people sort of went off the season. To me, it's the show escalated properly to the show it needs to be. But I hear this. We'll talk about different things different times. In fairness, a long time ago we did a lot of Star Wars reviews where Matt was ahead of the game, where Matt was shitting on the new sequel series and I was defending them, and that didn't age very well.
Definitely did defend Episode 7.
Yeah, I didn't age that. That shit didn't age well. I don't think I defended Episode 8 too much. I don't think I could because I think you and Joe were together trashing it. But
I don't think I did an Episode 8 like review. But
no, I think you did. I think we did 7 and 8.
Yeah, that was awful.
But yes, stick around or keep an eye out for the Issues Award show coming up in the next couple of weeks at some point. And we'll be back soon. And, of course, The Last of Us after the big first of the year for a new show to do. And I'll obviously be on Teflon TV, joining Tony occasionally for some fun stuff. And Matt and I will be back at the beginning of January. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Now, Matt, you got to mix.
Are we off
No,
now?
no, but you got to mix the ketchup and the mustard and the relish together.
Relish. No, you got to mix them together.
Mix the ketchup and the relish together. We're off now.
Bye, Killmonger.